This is On Just Restart. This is a Nintendo podcast that we normally do Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Today we're doing it Saturday night because I am unavailable tomorrow, and I really want to talk about this Pokemon Direct and this Nintendo Switch Pro news. I am joined by Shifty. It's been a while since he's been on the show, but here he is, Shifty. IAmShifty. His channel is linked in the description below. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I just recently did a whole Smash tournament thing that you took part of even. And that was just a very entertaining time. I had a lot of fun doing that.
It was very fun. Yeah, it was good. I wish I practiced. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So you guys check out that, among other things, on Shifty's channel. Again, it's linked in the description below. And we're also joined by Brandon from What About Nintendo. His channel is also linked in the description below. And he also likes Nintendo like us. Yeah.
Surprise.
Been
Big
playing
surprise here.
Starlink this week because I got
That's
it
not a
for,
Nintendo
what was it,
game.
like $6.
What's wrong with
It's
you?
on the Switch.
Close
It
enough.
might as well
It's got
be.
it might as well be Star Fox
Yeah.
Adventures of Atlas or whatever the sub name is. It's pretty good. I'm like 5 hours into it though, so I haven't been able to play it that much, but it's good. I'm not a big fan of the controller. It's so uncomfortable, but everything else about the game is great.
Yeah, I really enjoy the game. I haven't finished it myself. I did get it like a year or so ago on Amazon. It was like I got the actual like the R-Wing toy thing for $20.
Yeah,
which is a
I
pretty
got
good
it
deal.
for what, like $5-6.
Whoa. See,
Yeah.
waiting. You are rewarded for waiting, apparently. Yeah, but
Ultra mega sale apparently.
Yeah, I do hope that team that worked on Starlink gets contracted with Nintendo, like Ubisoft Nintendo puts something together, and they put together a Star Fox game along those lines, because that would be really epic.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
It just feels like the exact kind of game I want a Star Fox game to be.
Mm-hmm. Just with more Star Fox charm.
Yeah, more Star Fox charm, a little more polish, higher
With the
budget.
combat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Star Fox, I guess, when you really boil it down, it's an action game. Like, that's what it really focuses on, the action. And I would say that Starlink, its priority isn't the action. So, if they were to do this, taking that world, that structure, those mechanics, but focusing on the action and giving it more of that Star Fox feel, allowing us to actually explore like the Star Fox universe. Like imagine like actually being able to explore like Star Fox Town, actually going to Corneria and not just flying around buildings with no doors or windows, but actually being able to go inside and see people and interact with them and then defend the city afterwards. That would be really cool. That'd be more than cool. It'd be amazing. Just actually like the whole Lilat, like imagine open world Lilat system. Oh, dude, I'm excited. So, for those who are watching this for the first time or are unsure what's going on, the topics for today, as the title may suggest, are mostly having to do with the Pokemon Direct that just happened on January 9th, and also some Nintendo Switch Pro rumors / news that have come out. That it is news. It's not like 100% confirmed information, but it's like fairly reliable information that we can. I wouldn't assume it's actually going to happen, but it might happen, which is why we're going to be talking about it. So we'll get into that, but basically we're talking about Nintendo Switch Pro today and the Pokemon Direct. Those are the focuses. However, there's a couple other little things I want to talk about before we get into that. One of them has to do with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. There is a listing suggesting that Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition could be coming out this May. Now, this site, I get the name of this site. I'm terrible. I'm so sorry.
It was some kind of Danish retailer, I think.
Yes, it was a Danish retailer. Thank you. I forgot the name of the website, though. Let's see if I have it on here. I can get it. It'll just take me like 10 seconds. But while I search for this to give you guys the specific
10 whole
name.
seconds.
Yes, 10 whole seconds that I have not started yet. How do you guys feel about Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition coming out this May?
May's a little bit earlier than I thought. I thought it would be more midsummer. I think me and you were talking about July. But I mean, May. I mean, we did see it pretty early on. We saw it about September last year, so it could come out May. It's just not exactly when I was expecting it to come out.
I think I don't know. I feel like for a remake or a port of some kind, I don't know if they think about it too much. I feel like they just pick a time where it's a little empty, so to speak. Or maybe I don't know what their exact plans for the the year is, considering we're still very early on.
Yeah.
But I think in May, in terms of Nintendo, I don't know if there's anything coming out. I mean, there might be, but the only game that comes to mind that I know that's considered big in general would be The Last of Us. So
go on, Shifty.
No, I'm just saying that May doesn't sound completely out of the question, but I'm not. I also feel like for the type of game that this is, I don't see there. I'm not sure if there's a specific month or timing that I feel it would make it better, unless it was like an empty month of sorts.
Yeah.
Right. So this is how I'm sort of looking at it. Okay, because I love Xenoblade, really big on it, but let's be real here. In terms of how Nintendo looks at it, it's definitely not like the first or second biggest game for them this year. You agree on that? Right.
Yeah.
So it probably will not take up the November-October slot, right? I mean, theoretically, let's say there, because now we know about the Pokemon DLC, which we will talk about later. There will not be a major physical Pokemon release. Well, they might have one, but you know what I mean. Like, you could just get it through DLC. We could have Zelda come out this November, for example, instead of, say, another Pokemon game. If that happens, Xenoblade won't take up that November slot, right? And then there would need to be... So maybe Xenoblade could technically squeeze into, like, December, perhaps, or potentially October, but it definitely will not be the November slot. And there's probably going to be enough to come out around the holidays as well, which I would probably schedule into the October spot, right? Like, say, for example, Mario Odyssey 2 is that other big game. If that's the case... Probably October. That would be my bet, right? If those two games are actually coming out this year, Breath of the Wild 2 and Mario Odyssey 2. Which then wouldn't be able to go there, maybe December. But here's the thing. This is a remake, right? And we got the trailer for it back in September. Most Nintendo games, at least during the Switch era, when they're announced, we don't wait more than a year until they come out. There's a couple exceptions, but for the most part, these games come out sooner than later. And if it's a remake or a remaster, it's definitely coming out sooner than later, right? Can we kind of agree on that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Brandon, you brought up earlier, you and I did talk about it beforehand. We did talk about Xenoblade maybe taking up more of an earlier part of the year. We were guessing summertime, but May is like the end of spring, beginning of summer, basically. So it's not really
close to summer.
It's pretty close. So I could see May. In fact, I've seen some people thinking that could even happen even sooner. Considering that Animal Crossing is coming out this March, it's not going to be March. And it's definitely not going to be...
it definitely won't be March.
I guess, theoretically, it's possible for it to be... It's highly unlikely at this point. No. So, really, like, the earliest time it could come out is April. Right? Let's say it's announced in January Direct. The earliest time it could come out is April. But May or June or July are all... Or even August or September are all good periods for it to come out. Yeah. So, I think May is definitely a good spot for it.
March is also way too packed. And if you consider just Nintendo alone, they have a remake coming out that month and another game coming out that month. They have Animal Crossing and Mystery Dungeon.
Right. So that's for sure. That's definitely not them then. Exactly. Yeah. So it's got to be after March and probably before October.
Yeah, I agree.
So May 5th and that
seemed like a good time.
Yeah. I can see that. So I believe
guess since it is a remake and we've already seen a pretty good chunk of the game back in September, it makes sense that it would come out, right before the midway of the year,
Mm-hmm.
It could be done by then. That makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of see it during that time, and honestly, I didn't realize it would be that soon, but that's really exciting to me because I love Xenoblade. So
oh yeah.
The first game is probably my favorite JRPG of all time, so
same.
I think it's pretty much, like, in my mind, now it's cemented that we're going to be seeing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition in the Nintendo Direct that I believe is probably next week.
I mean, yeah.
I
probably,
actually didn't think they were going to show it because I thought they would release it in, July or August. But now that we're thinking May, I definitely think we would see it. If it is going to come out in May, we definitely see it.
Yeah, if it is actually a May time slot, then for sure. Because keep in mind, sometimes we get these retail sites that say a date. And by the way, the name of the website was Cool Shop. Yeah, Cool Shop. Yeah, so
very generic name.
Yeah.
Coolshop.dk.
Most reliable name I've ever heard.
Yeah. So But it's gone right things right in the past before. Like apparently there's like a Street Fighter edition that they had listed accidentally or leaked, and it also has come true. So they have shown to leak actual release dates before.
See, they are reliable, just not to the people who are selling stuff to them.
There you go. Yeah, you still take these things with a grain of salt, right? Because sometimes they get things accidentally, or maybe they just leaked it then, not now. There's a lot of possibilities, but definitely I think May is a potential time slot. And if there is going to be a January Nintendo Direct, probably next week, I would assume. I think it's really likely we're going to get a release date for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And it wouldn't shock me if it actually is in May. That would be pretty awesome. So I'm kind of hoping this is real.
Their opportunity to show off the cut content.
Yeah.
There was there's clearly going to be cut content in there. So.
Right. Well, they already effectively confirmed that with the first trailer, right? With the Bion's shoulder.
God, I remember that tripped me up so much when I was trying to do the graphics comparison. I was like, where in the hell is... I feel like I've never seen this before. I don't recognize this area. And it turns out that's because...
Yeah, it was only within like the code of the game that some people like hacked into to play. Which is really exciting. And I wonder how much more new content it's going to have. I guess we'll maybe next week. And I guess that kind of begs the question, since we're going to tiptoe around this subject the entire podcast probably, right? Do you guys think, and Shifty, we haven't really heard your thoughts on the show before, so this is your opportunity. How do you feel about a January Nintendo Direct, especially after we just got a Pokemon Direct? Does that change your thoughts on it at all?
Slightly, but I'm not sure by how much. Because, I mean, everyone knows that we always either typically get a January Direct or one that's very close to January if it's not, a full one.
Yeah.
Because, we've gotten the mini Directs before. So, I'm not sure how they look at Pokemon Directs, or I guess Directs, like, specifically themed to a particular game or series. So, on one hand, you could easily make the argument that this doesn't mean anything because it's not a full regular Direct, and you could still see a normal Direct in maybe late January, early February. But at the same time, you could also make the argument that this does count as our early year Direct, So I want to say I still think a Direct is coming, but I don't know. Like, I guess you could say, like, my confidence in that is not as high as it was prior to this Direct. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to say for me, I guess.
I believe the January Nintendo Direct will happen January 16th.
Okay.
Yep. Mark your calendars, boys.
The only thing
Schedule
that
your days
has
off.
changed me is that I could see it being the week after next week instead of next week. It's kind of 50-50 for me where it will be. Because last time we had a Direct and a Pokemon Direct so close together, they were, I believe, 2 weeks apart. So maybe they'll do the same thing, just in reverse order. Last time it was a normal Direct, then a Pokemon Direct. This time it might be a Pokemon Direct, then the normal Direct. So I could see that. Plus, we're kind of saying next week because of Tokyo Mirage Sessions English. But they just had a trailer drop for that, so they might just be like, "Oh, we're having trailers. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's not a big game. It's just a port of a Wii U game, enhanced port."
So I will say that Mug on Twitter has been saying January 16th. Mug has a history of getting things right about Directs. They've demonstrated, at least in my opinion, they do have legitimate sources. Now, they don't come out saying, "Hey, I have legitimate sources, believe me." This person just literally will tweet Metroid, Wonderful 101 or something, and then the next Direct, something shows up. Yeah. So, and they said January 16th, right? So, and they've been questioned on this, and like, yeah, I'm pretty certain on it. So I definitely am paying attention to that date, hence why I'm predicting it at this point. They could be wrong. I don't think they've gotten everything right in the past, but they have gotten a lot of things right. So definitely have my eyes on that, especially because it just kind of makes sense for it to be the next week. Like the Smash could be announced.
Yeah.
The deadline is February. We
need to know more about what's happening this year. We don't know that much. We know about Animal Crossing. We know about Mystery Dungeon, and that's about it.
Yeah.
We don't know about anything else. We need some more information, more games, more release dates, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one more. Well, I want to say hi to the chat real quick, and then we'll kind of continue on here because I actually didn't greet anyone in the chat, and we typically do that. So, hello guys, how you guys doing? I am not ignoring you guys. I was gonna get to you. Kami Mingo, hello there. Super Chris, what's up? Darcy, you can finally be here live for once because we were doing it on Saturday. We do normally do it on Sundays, but you're here now. Kami Mingo is asking how we are doing. Well, I'm doing well. Pretty good.
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. You guys feeling okay?
Yeah. I'm all right.
Yeah.
Just got off work, so it's kind of like, but you know.
Okay. I'm not choking my lungs out, so I got that going for me.
There you go.
Is your positive for the day?
It is. Yep. Still have my lungs. We're good. Yeah.
Got to have those.
Kind of need those.
Yeah. Darcy is hyped for Mystery Dungeon. I've never played Mystery Dungeon myself, or maybe I played a demo once when I was a little kid. Maybe, but point is I never have owned the game and played it from beginning to end. I'm curious about this game. I'm gonna try out the demo, and maybe I'll give it a shot. We'll see. But at the very least, I know a lot of people have been looking forward to a Mystery Dungeon game coming to Switch, and we're finally getting that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. I made this joke on Twitter about that because there was I have on my private Facebook account. I think 2 days prior to oh, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Switch, and then 2 days later we end up getting that. I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
And the fun to Mystery Dungeon, the first game is the only game I played.
Okay.
So this is the one remake that they could have made that would have been actually kind of fitting for me.
Nice.
And it's gonna have new content. We saw it had Charizard X. I think I saw a Primal Groudon, if I'm not mistaken. There's definitely a Groudon, but either way, they at least had Charizard X. So one, that confirms that Megas will still be used to some capacity, right? And also, there's gonna be more than just what was out for Gen 4 back in 06. So there's gonna be other stuff in there. So I'm really curious how that's all gonna pan out. But just kind of moving on in the chat here, because I want to get back to, I want to address you guys, and then we'll go back and forth, of course. But Terry added me on Just Restart. I have a feeling that Thursday next week is when we'll get an Nintendo Direct, which I believe is January 16th. I think that feeling may be right, and we'll find out next week. If it doesn't happen, guys, though, keep your expectations in check. It might not happen,
Doesn't
right?
happen. You better figure out where Andre lives.
And then
I'm gonna be in
shoot
those
me.
DMs, bro. I'm being those DMs with some threats.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, a lot
Bring
of
the
people were
pitchforks.
sold on Pearl and Diamond remakes happening, but I've been talking about it for a while, right? And I put some statuses out a day before the Direct just to remind people, hey, it might not be Pearl and Diamond remakes. It might be DLC instead, especially considering how early in the year this Direct is. And it was DLC and not Pearl and Diamond remake.
Yeah.
So, even though sometimes we may feel really confident about something, it doesn't happen. Another example is when we did not get anything Smash related at the Game Awards. Everyone so hard believed that was going to happen, right? I thought that was going to happen, right? I think we talked about it, and we were like, yeah, probably, right? I was 90% plus, but we at 10% where it didn't happen. So, let's not assume that it's going to be January 16th. It might be in February. I doubt that, but it's possible.
It's possible.
Let me see here. Kane here is saying if Xenoblade comes out in May, he'll use his last voucher on it. That would be a good use of your final voucher. Darcy, thank you. Bless your soul. Darcy is saying that they hope we are getting Metroid Prime Trilogy for the sake of me, poor Andres. Yes, I need my Prime Trilogy, so hopefully that's finally announced. Dumo Plays, what's up, bro? How you doing? Griffin Golem is saying, no, I've been saying the 16th for several weeks now. It just lines up with what others are now saying. I'm not bandwagoning. That's cool. I never thought you were necessarily bandwagoning, but the 16th just seems like a really good date. Thursdays are a common time for Nintendo Directs to happen. We're now past that holiday period. Nintendo's had time to come back from that. Mid-month for a Direct is a pretty good time slot, so I think it is just a solid prediction. It doesn't necessarily have to be, piggybacking off of a common rumor. Terry Sivertson added me. I have a feeling that Cosmos is Challenger Pack 5, and I think we'll get 10 additional DLC fighters, and the first one I think will be Geno. I'm not expecting 10 more, But
Did they mean like 10 total?
no, like 10 more. I think there's this theory that based off like a data mine that there was a certain amount of slots when the game came out that suggested like 15 more DLC characters. Now, which I guess now that we've gone 5, that would suggest 10 more. Something like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I believe that though.
Yeah, I'll believe it. Yeah, I'll believe 10 more when I see it. I feel like
Yeah.
that would really mean just be like
Maybe if
maybe
there's another wave, and then after that, a third wave of deal. Maybe then we'll get.
maybe if we get like an Echo character pack, maybe,
Yeah, maybe that.
perhaps.
I don't think there would be 10 more completely unique fighters. If there is, that'd be hype as hell, but I don't see that happening.
Griffin Golem saying that the first Mystery Dungeon was only up to Gen 3, so Lucario there shows newer Pokemon will be in it. Yeah, so there you go. Oh, apparently Darcy's going to be sending me an angry community post on the 16th. I'm sorry. Yo, Kane, preach. He's saying we need Metroid 5. We absolutely need Metroid 5. Duma plays saying if they announce Trilogy in the first Direct, I expect Prime 4 to follow, even if they wait for it at E3. I've been sort of theorizing this, actually, myself. I think that this E3 could be the year we finally see Metroid Prime 4. I've been wrong about that several years in a row, so we'll see. But, you know, if they actually reveal Prime Trilogy this year, like, let's say in a January Nintendo Direct, then Prime 4 could maybe get, like, a Breath of the Wild sequel type of trailer this E3, and then it comes out holiday 2021. I think that's possible, but I'm also going to keep my expectations in check because it may not happen. It may be another year down the road. But anyway, just get back into like the topics here, which are not listed. I still haven't done that yet. I'm sorry. Thing that could be seen at the Nintendo Direct is Pikmin 3. And apparently, Per Schneider from IGN was hinting at one of the 2 Wii U ports rumored by Emily Rogers to be a strategy game from Nintendo. So I think that makes sense. I think people believe it's Pikmin 3. Pikmin 3 is a strategy game. It would be a game that could be from Wii that would be ported. It's been rumored beforehand. It makes sense. I think Pikmin 3 at this point will be at the Direct. Yeah.
It's that Star Fox Zero spin-off strategy game.
Star Fox
The
Guard.
Tower Defense.
Star Fox Guard.
That's what it is.
I like Star Fox Guard. I thought it was fun.
It was decent. It was fun.
It was a really cool bonus game. Yeah.
No, I want that as a port though.
No, I don't think anyone.
Not as like one or two.
No, I'll fire up Wii U if I want to play that. Yeah.
If you give it to me for free, I'll take it.
Yeah, no. And the thing is, you have to kind of repurpose the controls entirely because that game. Both games were designed specifically to be used with the Wii U gamepad, so it's kind of weird how you'd have to make that work.
I don't know how that work.
And I don't even really want to bother how to make it work right now. I'm sure it's possible, but no. The idea behind is that you're looking at multiple screens at once, and you only have one screen with a Switch, so that makes things challenging.
Just
But
2 switches.
yeah. So, how do you guys feel about the hinting from Per Schneider that one of the Wii U ports could be Pikmin 3?
I think.
I mean, it'd be cool, but no offense to Pikmin, I just don't care all too much about Pikmin. I'm not really a big Pikmin guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for everyone that's been hoping for a Pikmin 4, maybe ease it a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've only really played Pikmin 3, and I don't have like a lot of.
Did you get to finish playing it? I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't.
How'd you feel about it overall?
I liked it. I just don't know if I would say I liked it enough to want to play it again.
Well, I mean, put it this
I
way.
never got
Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. I loved that game. I played the heck out of it. I beat it. I think it's an incredible game. Arguably one of the best platformers ever made. I didn't buy it on Switch again. I didn't think it was worth it because I already have it on. If the game is fundamentally the same, then in many cases I don't think it's worth buying a game again. If it, so
Right.
maybe I wouldn't. But for Pikmin 3, it's a little different for me because I didn't actually finish it on my. I got it for Wii U, but I never finished it. I never got really far into the game. Because my Wii U's gamepad's battery just died, it always had to be plugged in. So it was always cumbersome to play Pikmin 3 on my Wii U. So I never really had the ideal, comfortable experience to play the game. So if that game were to be brought over to Switch, they say they changed the game from 720p to 1080p, improve the graphics a little bit, add all the DLC content, remaster the controls so it's more befitting of a traditional control setup, that could make the game like a good package for me, and I might actually finish it this time around. So I'm actually hoping this happens, and I think I'll probably buy it because it would be the ideal Pikmin experience for me, which I didn't get on my Wii U, unfortunately. Partially because my Wii U was ruined, but also because I think it could have been done a little bit better.
I agree. The same thing happened to me. I didn't get to finish it because first off, my gamepad just died, and I couldn't ever get to work again. And secondly, I was actually borrowing the game from a friend, so I didn't get wouldn't have been able to finish it anyway. So I've only played through like half of the game. I've watched a Let's Play of the whole game, but that's not really the same. And it was like years and years ago, so I don't remember what happens or anything about the game, really. So it'd be almost a new game for me because I don't remember anything about it. But I remember it was really good. It was really fun. The graphics were really pretty. For the time for the Wii U, so I was like, oh, I'll buy it again if it comes out.
Yeah, I think what it sounds like, anyways, is that we had a very opposite kind of experience. Me talking specifically with Andres, primarily because with Donkey Kong Country, that was the game I didn't finish. I never finished Donkey Kong Country on the Wii U, but so I bought it on Switch, kind of new game. But Pikmin 3. Since I had a Wii U, and I think I could be wrong, but I think around the time Pikmin 3 first released, it was kind of like it was like out of the Wii U where that was like the only game that released.
Right. Yeah.
So I finished it because that's all I had to play.
Yeah.
So that was the position I was in. Like I played it already. I didn't love the game, so I don't really feel the need to, come back to it. But since for you guys, it would be new. Like I totally get that. It would be the same thing with me and Donkey Kong in that case.
I think during that,
because I had played 2 playthroughs of the game, or 3. I think I'd started a third one, and I was like broke as hell when it came out. So I was like, I'm broke. I could buy this. I've played it 3 times. I think I'm good.
I think when I had Pikmin 3, I tried it a few times. I've tried going back to it several times, but I always just kind of stop after a little while. Mainly because of the discomfort of the play setup. But I think during that dead period, I ended up just like binge watching like Hunter x Hunter, and that was Hunter. Some people hate it when you say the X because it's supposed to be silent, but yeah, that's an anime. It's a really good anime. You guys should check it out. But anyway, that's how I got through the Wii U drought. I didn't play stuff. I just watched stuff instead.
I just played 800 hours of Splatoon.
Well, Splatoon came out a little bit later into the Wii U cycle. The beginning was really bad. When Splatoon came out, it was kind of like the better time for the Wii U.
I think I got the Wii U early 2014, maybe.
Which is around when Splatoon came out. It did come out 2014, so.
No, wait. I think I got late 2013. It was like a few.
You got it shortly after you. In the entire Wii U cycle was the Dark Ages, but like when Splatoon was coming out, that was like when the Dark Ages were kind of like we're heading out of it. That was like past the halfway point.
Maybe I got it at the beginning of 2013 because I remember watching the E3, but I don't remember if I had a Wii U. Because I remember watching E3 and seeing Splatoon and being like really hyped about it. I got the Wind Waker edition, but I don't remember when that came out exactly. But it was like a few months afterwards. So it had been out for a few months when I got it. Yeah, like early 2013, mid 2013 maybe.
And I had the Wii U the Christmas of the year it released. So like a month after it came out. So I had it pretty close first launching. And yeah, I just had Zombie U, New Super Mario Brothers until Pikmin 3 came out like 6 months later. Like I don't like it was just like a really.
It was so weird, man. That was such a terrible launch.
You don't want to play the
2
Call of Duty ports.
Yeah, what I remember having for the Wii, because I got the Wii U launch window like the December it came out. Like it came out in November, I got December, and it was very easy to pick up. There wasn't really that much hype going into it like there was for the Wii, for example. Partially, probably because there wasn't really any hype games to get. But I got Zombie U, Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, which had the zombies in it, the transit zombies, which is what I liked. and Nintendo Land, and I eventually like
Nintendo
swapped.
Land's the best of those games.
Yeah, well,
By
I probably
far.
played Call of Duty Zombies more than anything else. I swapped Zombie
it.
U for New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe with a friend for a while. And that was pretty much it. That was like it was very okay, you know?
See, I've played all of those games and beaten
Yeah.
all those games.
And none of them were
primarily
bad.
Because, I mean, yeah, none of them were bad. I mean, in terms of the Wii U exclusive side of things, like Nintendo Land was the best of the three there. The only thing I really liked about Zombie U was like the weird, like having to look at the tablet while, getting inventory management going on. Like that
Right.
was kind of cool.
But also
But the game was also
confusing
frustrating.
at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, and out of all the ones you mentioned, I played Black Ops 2 the most, but not on Wii U. I played on a completely different console, and that's
Yeah.
because I just wanted to play zombies.
That's why I played it.
I
for
just
zombies.
find it funny
Yeah.
that there's 2 Call of Duty games on the Wii U and there's none on Switch so far.
Which is weird,
What are they
Activision
doing?
just gave up. They just gave up.
They came in at the worst time, and they don't want to come in. And
It is very weird.
Just like, why isn't I thought Modern Warfare Remastered would have come to Switch. Like, I feel like
Are
that
there a
was
lot
good
of
title.
Activision games on
Nope.
Switch?
I don't think so.
I think there's just
Unless
a
there's-
few.
This is a Crash?
Wait, actually,
Trilogy.
isn't Activision Blizzard like all one thing now?
I don't know. I
So,
don't know.
'cause-
I have to look that up.
Because I think they had a merger, so it's not just Activision, it's Activision Blizzard.
Oh.
And if it's Activision Blizzard, then that means Overwatch, Diablo, all that stuff.
But we do have the Crash. The
Oh, yeah, that's
trilogy and the
Crash, yeah.
racing games.
On July
So-
9th, 2008, Activision merged with Vivendi Games, culminating in the inclusion of the Blizzard brand name and the title of the resulting holding company. So, I mean, this has been years, apparently.
Yeah, it happened a while ago. That's why you have to have I think it's Blizzard PC client.
Interesting.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but this is
I hate
back in
that.
2009, which is before the Wii U was even a thing. We got Activision games on the Wii U, so I don't really know what's going on, but I don't care that much because I could just play Call of Duty elsewhere. That's just
Yeah,
that simple.
True, but ever videos on YouTube, like I think it's like legit like my 3rd or 4th video ever, was me making a case about why I want to play Call of Duty Zombies on Switch specifically.
Yeah.
Primarily just because I wanted to be able to play zombies portable, and the only other options available to us throughout the entire history of Call of Duty was the DS game, which was awful because you're using a
The
stylus
DS.
to aim, and
Yeah.
and the mobile smart game, like the smartphone game, I mean.
Oh yeah. Call of
So
Duty Mobile.
the Switch would be like the ideal platform because it has normal controls and it's portable and you can definitely run it.
Right, and I would always make the argument that shooting games on Switch should definitely happen, especially considering the gyro controls, which is a more accepted on the Switch platform as opposed to the PlayStation platform, even though it has the same abilities.
Yeah.
And so I'm always a proponent for that. So, I mean, if they want to bring Call of Duty, by all means, I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, you know?
No.
Right, like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna complain about it, but if I see it happen and it's specifically a Treyarch one, I'll be happy.
Those are the ones with the good zombie modes,
Yeah.
right? Because those are the only ones I care about. The ones with the zombies.
Yeah, you just want
Yeah.
Treyarch.
Yeah, no, I don't care for that. Yeah. Just let me check in with the chat, and then we'll be moving on to the main discussionary topics here. So, Terry Sivert's Anatomy, I think Bayonetta 3 will either be an August game or our October Halloween game. Definitely good slots. I do feel like it's going to take up that Astral Chain area position, so I am thinking August or September. I could see Bayonetta 3 maybe taking up the October slot. If there's, say, for example, if the biggest game is Breath of the Wild this year and Mario Odyssey 2 is just not in the cards for 2020, maybe Bayonetta 3 could be like that second big game, and I could see an October timing, perhaps. Yeah. I'm hoping we get all three, but, you know, I just can't be satiated, so we'll see what happens. Terry Siverton added me again. I think the 2 ports will be Mario 3D World and Pikmin 3. I don't think it's going to be 3D World. I will say, actually, looking at let me see the article here. So, all right, I'm gonna read this quote from Per Schneider on the IGN podcast. Per Schneider, co-founder of IGN, talks about 2 mystery Wii U games coming to Switch in 2020. He says, "One of them is a 9 out of 10 for me, and the other is a 6 out of 10, implying he has knowledge of these ports. He later says he can't say much more, but that he loves what Nintendo does with real-time strategy games." That's where it was hinting.
That's-
Pikmin 3. I'm assuming that's the 9 out of 10 game. The 6 out of 10 game, I wouldn't call that a 3D. 3D World is not a 6 out of 10 game. It was
Unless
not
he just really
my
hates
favorite
it for some
decision.
reason.
Go on. What'd you say, Brendan?
Unless he just really hates it for some reason.
I doubt it. No, I've heard him talk about it in his podcast. He doesn't hate 3D. He likes 3D World. He thinks it's fun.
What games does he hate? That could be a hint right
Wonderful
there.
He's a
101.
big fan of Nintendo-esque games in general.
So what would be a 6 out of 10 game?
Maybe Wonderful 101.
I think Wonderful 101 because
Yeah, I think Wonderful 101.
you either love that game or you think it's trash.
Yeah, I could see
That or Star Fox Zero.
Oh God, if they port that
Yeah.
game, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
the
Wait, can-
actual...
Okay, but what if they
Fixed it.
make it so you can use normal controls and not
And
It
gave it on.
doesn't matter.
If they gave it normal controls, gave it new textures, gave it online play, and another
If they don't wanna
campaign
play that, yeah.
with a boss rush mode, then I'll be like, yeah, that is a deal right
Honestly,
there.
if it was 1080p,
That was that's too much.
That's
online
expecting a lot,
mode,
yeah.
and
It is,
better
but
controls,
it also
I'd
needs
buy
a
it.
lot.
It does, but for that reason, they probably won't do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I ain't Paige. I'm just saying what it needs to be great, you know? Maybe you could get away without the boss rush mode, but everything else it kind of needs.
I think the campaign's okay enough. It just needs, for me, just 1080p, better controls, like actual.
A higher resolution
controls.
will be actually make it worse, because
God.
the textures
But
are
it-
terrible.
And it needs,
well.
it needs the online mode. I think would actually be fun. I might buy that, but not for 60.
It does
Yeah,
need
I don't-
it needs online desperately.
I'll be even if they gave you everything that you just listed, I don't want to buy it for 60. That's just the way it is.
I don't think it's happening, so we don't have to worry about it. I'm pretty sure. I say pretty sure. If I had to bet, I'd say it's Wonderful 101. That's the second game.
Yeah, that sounds more likely.
Yeah, that they've talked about wanting to get Wonderful 101 Platinum
The
games on the
developers
Switch.
have talked about it, yeah.
So if they've talked about wanting to have, and it being kind of one of like those having those cult classic followings, it's the kind of game that might have success with the second wind on the Switch. So that makes sense to me. Not to mention, I think that does match up fairly well with what was said by Per Schneider here. This Wonderful 101 great game to everyone. It kind of depends on who plays it, I could
played
see
it
him
a little
calling.
bit at a friend's house, and I was like, "This is trash. What is this?"
I don't think it's
and
trash.
Then we played Smash.
I just don't think it's. I'm not gonna buy it. It's just not. It's just
I
not
just
for me.
didn't like. I didn't understand how it worked, and the controls were weird. And I was like, I don't understand how they're gonna get it to work on the Switch because you have to like draw lines and all kinds of weird stuff on the gamepad. So
Yeah.
maybe
me
there's
see
just
here.
I mean, there were controls in the original where you don't have to use the touchscreen, but it was
Oh.
kind of clunky. You, like instead of, let's say, I guess drawing a sword, you had to like move the analog stick to draw the sword. Which
Yeah.
is
How could they
really...
just do gyro controls or something?
Why don't they just not come out with it?
That, yeah. How about we
Yeah,
just
I'd be
just
happy
give us
with it.
Xenoblade X instead?
Yeah, for
Which
real.
is definitely not a 6 out of 10 game.
No. If he's a Xenoblade Chronicles X, is 6
Unless
out of
he's
10,
just a
gonna
Xenoblade X
fly over
hater.
to wherever he
You
lives
know,
and
maybe he just
slap
doesn't
it.
like
Maybe.
Maybe he doesn't like that
Maybe
the
he
font
just-
is really small, so he can't read it. Because it is really small. If they do,
It
if
is,
there's
it's
any
pretty
improvement
small.
that game needs, it's bigger font, which is
Yeah.
probably the easiest thing they could do. It's like, how are we gonna improve Xenoblade X? Make the font bigger. Okay, let's slap a price tag on it and then send it out. We're ready. We're ready to go. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what it is. A lot of people are talking about 3D World, but I'm just gonna be real with you. I don't think it's 3D World, especially considering that, in my opinion, I think Mario Odyssey 2 is in development. So I just don't see the value in bringing out 3D World when you could just focus on next 3D Mario. Again, there are exceptions to that. Last year, we got both New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, whatever it's called, and Mario Maker 2 within 6 months of each other. And they're both 2D Mario games, right? So we'll see what happens. But kind of just moving on here, let's talk about the Pokemon Direct. So, January 9th, it all happened. We got it. And my expectations going into I think I got it pretty good with my predictions. Like I said, something about Pokemon Home, I said also sleep. Was wrong on that. I said there'd be a mobile game. Wrong on that. Thankfully, I'm happy that I was wrong about that. I didn't want any mobile anything. I don't like that. I just thought they would do it.
Yeah.
We would see one spinoff. I suggested a couple things. One of them was Mystery Dungeon, and that was there. And that we would see something about. I was debating between Gen 4 remakes or a DLC. I ultimately sided with DLC because I think that makes more sense considering the position the Game Freak is in right now. And that's what happened. We got the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass, and I think it's really good. Like, honestly, in my opinion, this is kind of like a best case scenario considering the circumstances that Game Freak is in. And I think it's awesome, and we're going to talk about it right now, obviously. But those are just like my surface thoughts on it. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I think my first reaction is, wow, there's actual content. It's not, like 15 minutes of the entire history of Pokemon rehashed for the millionth time and then 5 minutes of new stuff. Like, it almost already is. This is like best Pokemon Direct ever.
Right. They didn't do any sort of crazy long introduction talking about the whole history like you said. It was just content. Like, they for like 17 minutes, they just talked about the DLC.
Yeah, it was great. The entire time, I was just like, wow, when are they gonna stop giving me information to tell me something I already have been told 20 times? So I was just happy about that. I thought it was a really good, well-paced direct with a lot of content, and it was worth being 20 minutes long. So yeah.
And you enjoyed it, and you're not the biggest Pokemon fan.
Yeah.
So that says something.
Yeah. On my end, I like pretty much all of the content. I don't like content-wise in terms of DLC. I don't really have anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with the content anyway. Like, I think it's cool to be able to go to another wild area. It's cool to see new legendaries. It's cool to see like a lot of the content that they're adding to the game. And also, like I mentioned earlier, like I like the first Mystery Dungeon. That was the only one I played. So seeing a remake of that was kind of nostalgic for me. Like just especially seeing it in the new art style and it just looked, and I like seeing that game again. It just brought back a lot of memories. Which is also cool knowing that when I took the personality quiz on the demo, it gave me the same Pokemon it gave me when I first played it in like 2006.
That is interesting. I didn't even know it was a personality quiz. Now I'm just gonna play it just to play the demo just for the personality quiz.
It gives you a personality quiz, and dependent on your personality, it gives you a Pokemon to play as through the game as the.
This reminds me of like Animal Crossing.
Do you think it matches the Pokemon that it gave you?
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know what the potential Pokemon. I don't know that much about the game. So
there's like a batch. I want to say I don't know how many. I want to say
like is it
8 to 12 maybe.
Interesting.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Maybe
I thought it was
could
like
be
4.
No, there's definitely more than 4.
I thought there was gonna be like 3 or 4.
That like
no,
the,
they
like the
have,
starters and Pikachu. That's what I thought it was.
There's starters, Pikachu, and then there's like the occasional random popular one like Meowth, Psyduck, Skitty for some reason. Cubone is
Maybe
there.
for the Skittish types.
Maybe, yeah.
Perhaps.
So it's cool though. Like I liked seeing that. Apparently, I haven't changed in over 10 years. But I like
seeing. A good
seeing.
thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, both times. Like I did the quiz twice, and it gave me Charmander twice. But
Andres,
just
if you don't
think
get Charmander, I'm gonna be disappointed in you.
I'm gonna be very upset if I don't get Charmander.
Do
you have a fiery will? Yes, I do. Yes.
Just answer all the questions exactly how you expect it to. What you think they want you to answer for Charmander.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if you don't, let's say you take the personality quiz and it gives you Skitty, and you don't like Skitty, you want to be Charmander, obviously.
Yeah.
They do give you the option to just ignore it entirely and just pick whoever you want.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So it's not completely dependent on
you
that.
can't decide my destiny. I decide my destiny. It's basically like the choosing hat in Harry Potter. Like they suggest to you, oh, you'd be a really great Slytherin, but I want to be a Gryffindorian. Well, there you go. Just be Gryffindor.
A Gryffindorian.
Yeah. I bet I'm the first person who said that, but I'm sure there's
probably
people who
some
hate that.
Mom out there.
Mother idiot somewhere said it just like me. Yeah.
And before J.K. Rowling, it makes that an official term.
Rolls down the flow. Anyway. So going back to the direct then, like overall, you like content wise.
Yeah, content wise, I liked it. I don't think it was the perfect way of going about it, but it's definitely better than what it was before.
So yeah, we did have a little bit of like an argumentative discussion on it. Right, we disagree. Right,
Yeah.
Which is completely fine. Right,
Which is
you're not an
normal,
idiot.
yeah.
I'm not an idiot. I don't hate you. You don't. Well, you might hate me. I don't know. But
Yeah, I'm gonna drop kick you later, yo, bro.
okay,
I'm gonna
well,
kill you.
keep that in mind. But so I guess the basic dispute we have is that from my perspective, everything they did was fine because I guess the what we sort of were arguing about is not the content of the DLC itself. Like the paid stuff, we're all like, okay, that's good stuff. Right?
Yeah, it looks cool. It looks like it's worth it. You know.
But there's some free updates that are coming, right? Those free updates include, well, the main thing is that with each pack that comes out, there's going to be over 100 Pokemon coming in it, a lot of that being returning Pokemon. Now, they are catchable in the DLC. So if you have the DLC, you can catch them in those respective areas. In the Isle of Armor, there'll be over 100 Pokemon to catch in that area, a lot of them being returning Pokemon. In the Crown Tundra, the same, over 100 Pokemon will be catchable there. And these Pokemon you will be able to bring into your base Sword and Shield games, even if you don't own the DLC, either through trading or through Pokemon Home. So say, for example, you have a Garchomp that you have in Pokemon Bank, and you trade that into your Pokemon Home, you will be able to bring that Garchomp into your game. Doesn't matter where it came from, because these Pokemon have been made available in the Sword and Shield world now. They are accessible either through trades or Home in your base game without paying for anything besides Sword and Shield. That's how it is, and I'm okay with that because that's how it kind of has always been. But Shifty, you feel a little differently on it.
I felt like this was their opportunity to go further.
Okay.
I felt like, for me personally, and I'm gonna like point this out there because I've talked to me about it, make this point. Just because other people were okay with it in the third versions in previous games does not mean I was one of those people. That's one thing. So my thing is primarily that in the past, when it comes to, let's say, Pokemon Emerald or Crystal or whatever, I guess, enhanced version of a game released, most of those generations, then DLC wasn't really an option. Most of them, right? And the ones that were, we ended up getting, I guess, for Sun and Moon's case, we ended up getting Ultra Sun and Moon, which I did not like.
I didn't buy it.
I made that very clear.
I didn't buy it.
Yeah. Right.
It's
So I felt
the
that
same game remixed. This DLC is cheaper and better.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that the people who make the point that this is better than the third version, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I just would have liked that for them to go even further, and when they add this free update where, they add these Pokemon, I would have preferred it if they were also catchable in the main game. Maybe make it more so if you get the expansion, maybe they're more common, or Pokemon who are, say, legendary or new, like brand new or new variations. Like those are fine in terms of how I look at it. Right. But it's more so the older Pokemon that don't really have a new variation or they're not really limited in
like
any capacity.
Garchomp.
Yeah, like a Garchomp, like a regular good old-fashioned Garchomp. I would have preferred it if there was a way, even if it's less likely, to be able to get them in the base game in terms of the free update.
Okay, so I guess where I disagree with it, right, is two reasons. One, and you kind of already illustrated this point, that it doesn't necessarily, just because it was like in the past, doesn't mean it has to be that way now. But in the past, right, with every Pokemon game you've gotten, you don't have access to all Pokemon. There has never been a Pokemon game where all Pokemon are catchable. That's never been the case. You have your regional decks, and then when it comes to national decks, you might gain access to a few more Pokemon in the post-game. But if you want to complete your Pokedex, most of that has to be traded in or transferred. That it's always been that way. So for me, the way it's being handled is just the way it's always has been. So that doesn't bother me from that perspective. But I can understand if you even felt like even back then, it should have been handled differently. Or at least to it, they could address it better. So there's that.
Yeah, and it's that, and I also just feel that it's okay to a lesser extent of let's say like version exclusives, for instance. It's okay for one version to have a couple of exclusive Pokemon, and same with the other, because then it does right. And I think that's okay. I just feel like having it to such a large extent like that, like again, let's say out of the 200 that's coming, these updates wise. Some of them are legendary, some are brand new variations, and some are just exclusive for the sake of being exclusive.
Sure.
I'd be okay with that. But, at least add a good portion to the base game. I feel like that would have been a better way of handling it, while also, making it just, still a still encourage that trading and still encourage the expansion and the new content, all that stuff. And we could also have like catch rates that are different, or not catch rates, I'm sorry, what's the word, like encounter rates. Maybe in the original game the encounter rates could be lower, and you benefit from the expansion because they're more possible, they're more likely to be.
Do I have though is that there's a lot of different reasons why they went with this direction, and I'm not going to get into that because there are just people who will ignore facts and people who that's just a whole other can of worms we're not going to get into, right? But the point is, one of the ideas behind the kind of Pokemon that are picked for this game is because they fit this particular region. They work within this region, and with the DLC that we're getting, the in-game canon reason why these Pokemon are going to be available isn't because they're going to magically appear in Galar because you paid more money, right? No, you're gaining access to other areas around Galar, not Galar, another part of Galar. Like the Isle of Armor is a separate area, the Crown Tundra is a separate area, and in these areas they have more. It fits the canon reason. So my issue, right, is if we were to go with your idea by adding different Pokemon that weren't in the base game to the same actual land area, that kind of goes against the whole premise of having particular Pokemon for a particular region. Does that make sense?
But then I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I also will argue that there have been also many games. If you go by the argument that previous games have kind of done similar things, there have also been games who do this exact thing.
When you beat the Pokemon League, more Pokemon
and they just
afterwards.
appear or whatever.
True.
Yeah, exactly. So
that is also
the way
true.
I look at it. Yeah. So the way I look at it, like I see what you're saying, but I also feel like when it comes to adding more Pokemon, it's never been an issue before.
Mm.
So I don't see it to that extent, personally.
Okay. I mean, I don't agree with you, right? But I'm also not like, okay, that's a stupid idea. Like, I see where you're coming from, at least. Either way, I feel like it's not a big deal, right?
Like, obviously, considering what I'm saying about the rest of the content, like, it's obviously not enough for me to go like, oh, I'm boycotting Game Freak, they're like, EA. No, I'm not doing that. I am just gonna, tell it how I personally see it. And I do see this particular little detail as, not the best way it could have been.
Also, more people would be happy about it.
Yeah.
There would be less complaints.
Yeah. That's how I see it. Like, I feel like the way exactly how it is structured now is definitely better than just having a whole other copy to buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that. And I agree that the content looks, substantial and, that sort of thing. It's just, I would have liked that to be a thing as well. Like, just to add that on top, So It's not the biggest deal in the world. I don't feel like this is enough to make me hate Pokemon.
Right. And I think we have some good comments in the chat on this topic, so I'm going to kind of read through them here. And there's still a lot to talk about with this. Like, we're just kind of scratching the surface here, guys. But, so let's see here. Darcy, some people think Sword and Shield feels like the least complete main series Pokemon game, so it feels as if there should have been added areas as free DLC. Some people, I don't feel that way myself. There are aspects of Pokemon Sword and Shield that I do feel aren't on par with some of the better games in the series. I'll give you that. But there are other parts of the game that I think far surpass games from the previous series. Like, I think the gym battles are the best they've ever been, for example. Like, that is amazing. I think the multiplayer elements of Sword and Shield are also far better than any previous game. Like, the co-op experience, the den battles, all of that I think is better. The online infrastructure I think is it's not like vastly better, but it is better. And I really like that as well. And I think in terms of building teams, it's also a lot better. But in terms of, like, say, for example, some of the puzzles or the interactions between towns, I do see that. I feel like the towns could have had a little bit more. They weren't as in-depth as I thought they were at first. So those are elements that I think could definitely be improved upon. But I don't think that makes the overall package of the game lesser than any previous Pokemon game. I've put in over 180 hours. Granted, I'm a competitive player, so it does kind of change it a little bit for me, right? As a competitive player, I'm probably going to eventually hit like 900 hours. Well, maybe 500-ish. I'm gonna get to at least... No. Give yourself credit. You'll probably hit 900. I play Smash competitively. I'm going to hit 1,000 in like a month. Yeah. So it's going to happen. Yeah, I've already passed my Smash time in Pokemon. Like, I guess for me, like, it's more evident that I'm a casual Smash player because I have maybe about 150 hours in Smash, which isn't... I don't think that's a little. I think that's a good amount for most games, but as a competitive player, that's nothing. Like 80. Right? Yeah.
I would say, just to add on to that comment, that I saw one point that was mentioned when it comes to, like, I guess the idea of like making these Pokemon now tradable, is that, and you guys can chime in if you agree or how you see it differently, but some people were mentioning that essentially we shouldn't treat this as a win, primarily because Game Freak created the issue and then made the solution to that issue. So rather, it should be treated as a neutral kind of thing, because the lack of the national dex and then adding the Pokemon afterward is not necessarily a bonus, but more so like breaking even, or at least kind of making it soften the blow a bit. I don't really feel that way personally. I see what they're trying to get at, but I don't really know how I don't
even
get what I'm
think
saying? Like, I don't think...
I'm not even sure Game Freak should go on, Brand.
Pokemon,
Yeah.
In terms of the older Pokemon they're bringing back, yeah, for sure, 100%. That's just breaking even. Like, we've been trading these Pokemon in a previous game before. So that's nothing new. But we're not just getting old Pokemon, we're getting whole new wild areas and whole new campaigns and
new Pokemon.
New Pokemon.
We're gonna get more mid-gen new Pokemon than we've ever gotten.
Yeah,
I would
assume
it's
not just the old Pokemon. Just the old Pokemon by itself, yeah, that's completely neutral. That's not like a win.
I mean, you can make it.
They would already been.
I'm assuming that's what they mean, but I mean, you know how the Pokemon community is. Like, everyone's just throwing like things out there.
I mean, I'll be real. There's things that are said that I don't understand, and I don't think it's because I'm dumb. I just think that people feel the way they feel, and that's just it.
Yeah, so I was saying, I'm hoping they're talking about what Brandon's talking about, where it's just talking about the old Pokemon specifically, because I can't fathom how everything, the whole package as a whole, would be breaking even.
Well, actually, Shifty, I mean, Brandon, I know you didn't finish Sword and Shield, but Shifty, you did, right? Okay. How do you feel about the game after having played it through entirely? Do you feel that you got copped out? Like, I see this argument all on Twitter, like, oh, it wasn't worth $60. Like, do you feel that way about Sword and Shield?
It's hard to say, because I like the game. I feel like most of the music is great, and so is like the Pokemon battles presentation wise. Like, there's a lot of good things in it, but I also see some of the faults that people mention, like, again, no national dexes, the whole the post game isn't super deep, like as other
I don't feel like
are.
I don't see, my thing is that I've never thought the post game was ever great in Pokemon, save for Gen 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess in Gen 4, the Battle Frontier Island, which was pretty neat, but I still felt like that was lesser than Gen 2. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to the post game, even in Gen 4, I felt like it left something to be desired for me. And I actually think that they at least include a post game story for Sword and Shield, right? Which I'm going to assume most people know about. I don't know if everyone does, but I thought it was pretty good. Like, I enjoyed it. It was a nice little story. It offered some character development for Hop. It was a cool interaction. But I also agree that they kind of stuffed all the story towards like the late part of the game, and some people didn't like that. So I'm not trying to say the game is perfect, and neither are you, right? We kind of agree there. The game's not perfect, but it is enjoyable. So, but that's most, like, every game has things we could critique. Should then, if a game has issues, should it not be able to have DLC? Like, if it better, does that mean it wasn't worth $60? Like, that's up for you to decide personally, right? But for me, I have no problem with the price. I feel like I definitely got my money's worth, and I'm still getting it. And the DLC looks like it actually may have more bang for the buck than the main game, actually, from what they showed, at least.
Right, and I guess it depends. Like you said, it's like it depends on the person. Right? How much enjoyment do you expect out of the dollar, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I feel the argument of like, is this game worth $60, is going to be something that's totally different to every single person who makes that claim. Like you just said, you feel that the expansion has more bang for your buck than even the base game does. Is that a good thing to the expansion, or is it a bad thing to the main game to say that?
Well, I haven't played the expansion yet. Just based off the way it's presented, that's how it made me feel.
Right. And what I'm saying is that because of the perspective of like different people looking at it, they might see that as a bad thing for the base game.
Mhm.
you know, or they might see that as a great thing for the expansion. You know, it's like you could totally look at it from both
It's like
directions.
half glass, half
Definitely
full.
two
You know, like
Yeah, like
is it
that's
half full or half empty? Yeah. But you personally, right? Do you feel that it was worth the $60? Like don't speak for the world, just you yourself.
no, I know, but
Yeah.
because I want to say like sometimes I say yes, it was worth it.
Yeah.
Because I do like doing the raids, but some days where I look back at like my overall enjoyment with when I was going through my adventure of the game and comparing that enjoyment with like the other games, I feel like it doesn't stack up to a lot of my favorites, if that makes sense. I think it's the best of the 3D games. Like I think it's better than Sun and Moon and X and Y.
I think that's pretty.
But
That's
once,
a pretty good.
Yeah, like
thing to
that's
say about it.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
but those are also $40 games.
True.
So it's
the
kinda
other thing
hard
with that
to
is that
measure
a big reason why games cost 60 now, like 60, is not so much of how long it is, but rather the cost of development. And the cost of development oftentimes is attributed to how technically advanced the game is. So it's a game that was developed in HD. HD development costs more money than for a handheld, right? So that's why the game will cost more, because it's a, you know, that's what it was. That's what it is.
it.
You know.
But we could also look at it from the perspective of like someone who played Pokemon all their lives and then they suddenly have to spend. They might,
You know, once upon a time, Pokemon games were 30.
yeah, even then.
Yeah.
So I guess if we look at it from a perspective of someone who's maybe not even not aware, but just they don't care about the HD development side of things. They don't really care about
Right,
that
from a
side.
consumer, this is purely from we really pay attention to all the nuances of the industry and stuff. Like from a
Right.
purely consumer perspective, the game costs more. I want more bang for the buck, and if they don't
Right.
assume higher quality graphics, for some people higher quality graphics don't equate to more value, then I mean, yeah, there's gonna be some people complaining, but that is part of the value, right? The higher fidelity graphics are part of the package. It's an HD game that you can play on your television, which you cannot say about a 240p Pokemon game on your 3DS.
I think the problem is that people don't associate the better graphics as being better, because comparatively, the graphics compared to the actual spec of the machine is a bigger disparity than it was for the graphics of the last generation games.
I'm
compared
not
to
sure
the
I agree
3DS
with
spec.
that. let me make myself.
I
clear.
mean, it's. I'm just saying, like, the Pokemon Sword and Shield had trouble running because they were pushing the 3DS to its limits.
You mean Sun and Moon?
Sun and Moon. Sorry.
Right, but that's
Two
exactly
other
my
S's.
point, though. Sun and Moon was the second generation on the 3DS, generation for
Mhm.
the Switch. If you go back, so a more appropriate comparison would be X and Y. Now look at Sun and Moon compared to X and Y. Sun and Moon destroys X and Y, right?
Yeah.
But
But
now,
I
if you want to
would
make the
say
argument that
X
they
and
should have
Y,
go on.
I kind of think X and Y might. I don't know. I think it might have been using more of the 3DS's potential than Sun and Shield is using the Switch's potential. To be honest.
Okay. Well, I mean, so there, I think it's a more fair comparison, right? And we can talk about that. But and I'll say they definitely. I agree though that they can definitely push the system further. But it's also leaps and bounds better than what we used to get. Like right here with this series. Like now we actually have like open environments. And actually, you know what? Let's get past the controversy. Let's talk about some of the fun stuff, okay? So forget. I'm sorry. I just want to talk about this because this is really cool. And I'm gonna get to chat in a moment, and we'll back and forth. That you know how that's how I like doing things. But they said when it came to talking about the Crown Tundra and the Isle of Armor, they said those are just a couple of the ideas they were working on, implying they have other ideas in the future. Mentions hard to say. Right? I'm gonna assume no. I'm gonna assume they're gonna do one season of DLC and then they move on to the next game release. That's what makes the most sense to me. But you know, it also could be interpreted as the ideas that they're employing with these expansions will be the ideas that they're using for their future games. And if you look at the development for Pokemon, that's what happens. Whatever they do is something they're trying out for the future. They used roaming Pokemon. Let's go Pikachu and Eevee. What happened? Let's go. They're roaming Pokemon Sword and Shield, and that's now moving on forevermore. Like that is a new standard for Pokemon, roaming Pokemon. And it looks like wild areas are also going to become the new standard for Pokemon as well, because it was confirmed during the Direct that both the Crown Tundra and the Isle of Armor the entire expansion is wild area style. It's not like in Sword and Shield where there's the wild area and then there was the towns separate. The entire thing is that. So you're going to have towns and houses and buildings within the wild area. I like the wild area, fully controllable camera, which really annoyed me in Sword and Shield. The wild area is great. When I stepped into a town, I lost all access to looking around, which really bothered me, right? It was kind of like, wait, I can't do this anymore. That kind of bothered me. These expansions will be fully controllable in terms of camera, will be fully 3D open environments. That's awesome, and that suggests that the series is moving forward, and we're seeing that mid-generation before the next game. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, honestly, the DLC looks more interesting to me than the main game. Because the main game, I think the biggest draw for me was the wild area, but then I kind of realized it was just kind of this side thing that you're meant to like go back to and explore later, which I'm not a really huge fan of in a lot of games, where there's just areas, it's just like doesn't really have anything to do with the main campaign, but you can go and explore it if you want. Those typically, like, I'll do them, but I much prefer it when it's integrated into the main campaign. Like, I'm supposed to be moving through this area as I go along with the story, and not just something that's kind of just there for me to go to if I feel like it. So this actually interested me much more than the actual main game.
I want to say that I agree with Andres in the sense that I love the fact that it's gonna be like this, just one big open area that the DLCs take place in. Primarily because I don't know if I think I said it here on one of the older podcasts that I said that one of my gripes with Sword and Shield when I first started playing it was that I wish the wild area was just more expansive. There was more to do in it. There was more people in it, or towns that were in the wild area. And this kind of looks kind of like it's going slowly in that direction,
which is very exciting to me.
Which is
yeah.
And considering that that's like one of my biggest things. Like, I love the idea of the wild area idea, right?
Yeah.
But what it is right now in Sword and Shield is, like Brandon mentioned, like a kind of like a side thing, like an extra thing, not really this huge thing that you're gonna spend like a massive amount of time in and explore and really see the characters there. For the most part, it's mostly a side thing. I love the fact,
bro, you have a Demogorgon in your closet or something.
There's like a motorcycle club outside my place right now. But I love the idea that they're basically taking the concept of the wild area and making that almost like a focal point in this expansion, because that's more or less exactly what I was kind of hoping for when I first saw the wild area.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me back to what we were talking about earlier, just about talking about kind of like the graphics of Sword and Shield. The way Pokemon handles themselves, and maybe people don't like that, is that they don't, it's kind of like always a work in progress for them, right? They take small steps, and I guess they took a really big step by moving on to an actual HD home console-esque system, right? And not too many people are excited about that, because that comes with higher expectations, and it's hard to meet those expectations considering how rabid the Pokemon fan base is. That's part of the controversy here. People's expectations and Game Freak not really being able to meet all of that. But what excites me is that they are moving forward, and we're seeing that with the expansion pass. That they are pushing their games, and they are evolving. Maybe not at the rate that people want, but they are evolving. And actually, on the note of just kind of satisfying fans, I really am excited simply about the premise of them doing DLC as opposed to doing another game, rushing into doing another game, because they've had back-to-back Pokemon games for years at this point. And now, by focusing on doing DLC, that is actually a more efficient way to make a game, so it's going to cost them less in research and development, and it's going to be a more efficient way to make a game, and it's going to give them more time with the next game, as opposed to just rushing with every year having back-to-back games. So point is here, by doing this DLC, it's actually a win-win for everyone, because it means that they're going to be able to put in more time into the next game, and thus that game will likely be higher quality.
I feel like this DLC reminds me, in terms of like quality and like quantity of the content and, you know, price versus what you're getting, it reminds me a lot of Torna DLC actually. Just in terms of like, that was like almost a whole another game for half the price. Obviously this isn't, you know, the same in terms of story and stuff, but it's kind of, you know, a whole new area to go and explore. It does more feel fine like compared to the original game. It's a very, very good price to content value there. So it reminds me a lot of Torna in that way.
And actually, on the note of Torna, do you guys think there will be like a hard release that includes the expansion in there?
I think that
physical
they
release?
definitely could do that. I would not surprise me if they did a definitive edition of the game during the holidays just to sell it to more people. I can see
Yeah, I
that.
could see that. Not, I don't think they would call it like, the Isle of the Sword or something, or like, or the Isle of the Shield, or I forgot what it was called, but I don't think they would call it something like that.
It would
probably
might just be the
like,
game, but also says includes expansion pass.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Torna was a whole you literally could just it had its own
Yeah.
name specifically
Right.
for it,
Because
and I just
you need to have the base game to play Crown Tundra and Isle of Armor.
right.
Mhm.
You
Right.
don't with Torna. So that is kind of like a key difference. But I do think they could probably sort of bundle deal with the DLC.
Right, that's why I was thinking more of like a definitive edition.
Right.
rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah, definitely
something
agree.
individually.
So I want to get back to chat because we went to like one comment and then just veered way off. So where there's a lot of things were said. I'm just gonna have to refer to the ads at this
comment was
point.
too good. Stop having such good comments. And distracting us from the other comments, the legendary comments.
Okay, so I'll just read some of these points and we'll be quick on them. They may all be great points, guys, but because we gotta get through this. So Griefy, actually Darcy. Also, why did they use balance as a reason to remove so many Pokemon, but they then bring back all these broken legendaries?
Like Landers.
Oh.
Well, you gotta. I don't think balance means that those Pokemon can never be accessible. So we'll have to kind of see how those Pokemon compare to what is coming out with them, right? So we'll see. Like, there's other elements that involved. So when that Pokemon comes out, we'll see. And I don't think Landers is broken because it was allowed in OU, right? So it was never sent to Uber. So I don't think Landers is broken. So there's that.
Is there any possibility they would change some of the Pokemon's like stats or something to balance?
That happens.
Yeah.
But, I don't foresee it being gimped because it's a bit. We'll see what happens. Because they could change its ability. We don't know. I foresee it coming back and still being really good.
Yeah, the only joke I've seen that I thought was pretty fun was the idea of having Regigigas with neutralizing gas and a doubles team, which would make it so that it doesn't have slow start anymore.
Yeah, so you pair it with Galarian Weezing.
Yeah,
it's immediately good. That'd be cool, but I mean, I don't. So here's the thing, like
it's
in singles,
interesting. Like I want to see it.
It's interesting for sure. I'll also say that Galarian Weezing is not that good, right? Like you can use it, but it doesn't do that much on its own. It's not really that bulky either from a special perspective. So while it does offer that ability, you also don't have abilities, right? It benefits Regigigas, but you kind of have to see it in practice. Because also in singles, like a lot of people think Dynamax kind of breaks singles, but for doubles, which is what it was really designed for, it works. So we have to kind of see it in practice and see all the other Pokemon that come out with it. So while one Pokemon may seem really powerful right now, we have to wait and see what comes out with it, because there could be several counters that come out with it that sort of don't make it that broken, right? Like if there's 6 other Pokemon that just kind of kill it or can just wall every attack it puts out, it's not a big deal, you know? So,
right, yeah. And I love to see a community test the meta that way, because that's exactly what I ask whenever I see someone say a character in Smash is broken.
give it time, see how it actually responds, yeah.
Right, because Hero was a huge issue at the time. Like a lot of people thought he was just broken and they needed to get rid of him. And then now, if you look at him now, there's like one pro player who plays him, and most agree he's like mid tier. So it's something could look broken at first, but once you actually put it into practice, it might totally change.
Right, and there are some things that no one sees at first, but some guys like, oh, that's a really cool idea, and before you know it, that's like one of the best strategies. So it's interesting how metagames can evolve, right? Like something might be popular at first, but then as playstyles adjust for that, it becomes not as good as time progresses. But just kind of moving on here with the chat, because I don't want to continue tangent, and never even getting to the final topic. but believe they are not putting these new returning Pokemon in the base game as they then have to change a lot of encounter rates. I think that's in reference, because this is from a while ago, in reference to what you're talking about in terms of bringing the Pokemon. Possibly, I'm not sure. So actually, Dumo was responding to your view, Shifty. He was saying, I understand Shifty's view. I just feel like that also creates an issue of too many things in one area to actually get what you want. Maybe adding through raid events. That, I mean, maybe, yeah, like what if there was like a Garchomp or Talonflame raid event, just making them available in some way. I guess that's possible.
Like they don't have to be all in one particular area. Like don't add all 200 to one area, but put them through different locations, and with the encounter rate being a lot lower, maybe it could help out and that sort of thing. So it's possible. It's not necessarily
be really
about
rare, but still possible. Okay.
Yeah. Like I just wanted, I would prefer it to be just some kind of possibility.
Yeah. Maybe. It could have done. Like it wouldn't have been that hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just kind of moving on here. Yatse Nachi, here to say Palu players are brain dead. I don't know what that means. So I'm just gonna move on. Sorry. Yeah. I'm gonna refer to ads right now just so we can catch up. Terry Severson Atomy. I think at least one Galarian Slowpoke's evolutions will gain the poison type. They did look like dark purple, and that is the color for poison, so that's not a crazy idea. We'll see. I definitely want them to be different than the other two Slowpoke evolutions. Computer robots. Hey everyone, and Andres, I see that you changed your schedule. I can imagine that something big is happening for you, Brandon or Shifty tomorrow. Well, I just won't be. I figured I'd try and do it today, and that's pretty much it. And Brandon and Shifty are like, yeah, we're cool with that. So
yep.
That's it.
I wouldn't have been available tomorrow either.
Oh yeah, we talked about it. Brandon wouldn't have even been available tomorrow. So. Darcy added me. We've just gone past the 1-year anniversary of me watching the podcast. Well, congratulations, Darcy, and thank you for being along to viewer. That you are appreciated, and I'm always glad when you're here. Okay, let's see here. Darcy saying the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 expansion pass was amazing. Feeling a bit disappointed by the 3 Houses expansion pass in comparison. Story character wave.
DLC's never really that great.
There's nothing from it that's really excited me about it. I haven't even gotten into it at all.
Themes and like unless you're like some kind of Twitter meme account, no one cares about the costumes.
I've seen some people on Twitter through a third time, all in costumes. I'm like, oh god, why?
I feel like people just have saves in certain particular locations of the game where they think a costume would be funny or something like that, and they just keep it there and wait for the costumes to come.
I don't even know, man. I honestly, I am not sure if I'm gonna play the expansion or buy the expansion for 3 Houses.
I bought it. I haven't done a single thing that's from the expansion.
Have they actually released like the new levels and stuff, or is it still just costumes?
I think it's mostly costumes and like little activities you can do in the monastery.
Yeah, those things don't make a big
actual like battles and like story.
Yeah. The last DLC is supposed to be a story thing of some kind, but it hasn't gotten there yet.
And that's what compels me to play these expansions. Like for example, I got the DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I didn't really play it until Torna came out. Like all these stuff in between wasn't really a big deal for me. The Torna DLC was what I really cared about, and that's when I played it. And that's pretty much it.
Oh god.
You really should. It's pretty good.
I need to buy it.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. Just keep that in mind. It is.
You haven't bought
no, I know. I played through it. I know.
Yeah, so you haven't bought an Octopath, so you're still.
No, but but I'm not an Octopath fan necessarily. I'm a Xenoblade fan. I honored my Xenoblade fanboys by getting the DLC.
I haven't bought it because I'm insane.
You are. It's not that much of an investment either. Like it's not as far as like
I have all the money sitting there. I could buy it right now for free.
Hey guys, apparently Brandon's triggered.
I am triggered on my own self.
When there's a dead spell, just get it, dude. You're gonna really love it. I know I will. It's great.
It's just
I actually prefer it almost to the.
It's pretty good. I like both, really but I think it's more.
I mean, I like both too.
It's a little bit smaller scale, and it's a little bit more polished.
Yeah. I like the combat system a lot more.
Yeah, I
love the combat system.
It's a bit more intuitive.
Original.
Yeah. Terry
I
Sivertson added
understood how
me.
the original works.
He's saying Galarian Slowpoke learns Acid and is pure Psychic type. That it could maybe be Poison type when it evolves. I could see that. That is not a stretch. We'll obviously have to wait and see, but that's definitely a pretty good theory, for sure. And actually, on that note, they did tech Pokemon, so for free, like in the game. So there's that.
Oh,
the Slowpoke. Yeah.
Got one.
Yeah, I got
Come
one.
on.
There you
Come
go.
on.
We're getting there.
Come on. A little bit more. Come on.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's cool though. I like his little yellow head.
So let's do a little bit of theory mon in terms of the Galarian birds. What types do you think they're going to be? I was talking about it with a friend. I think the Moltres has black flames. So I think they have to keep their core typing, the fire, electric, and ice. But the Moltres, I'm thinking, has black flames. It's either going to be fire ghost or fire dark. And because I think they might go for sort of a triangle thing, the Articuno, considering like its little laser beam like powers, I'm thinking it's ice psychic. So if the Moltres is fire dark or fire ghost, and the Articuno is ice psychic, looking at the Zapdos, and it seems to be like a little bit more huskier, more physical, I could maybe see it being like electric fighting. Yeah.
That's kind of hard because I agree with you on the other two. I just feel like the Zapdos one is the hard for me. Hard one.
It is a hard one because at first I was thinking maybe
Yeah.
electric dark. Like I'm not sure. Like if Moltres is fire ghost and electric dark for Zapdos kind of like makes a lot of sense, you know? Because then they can all hit each other for super effective with their secondary types. And it doesn't have to be a perfect triangle, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. But just overall, like the Crown Tundra just seems like pretty interesting. The legendaries there, and they're going to be introducing this mechanic where not only will there be a lot of raid battles with legends, but you're going to be able to actually explore the dens, just like physically explore the dens, co-op. So with your team members, like actually like it's like as if it's like an actual cave or little mini dungeon in the game. That's really cool. I'm looking forward to that.
I would say because of the features, like more looking forward to the Crown Tundra.
Yeah.
The first one looks great, and I like how it looks and whatnot. I just feel it just has so much more little, like the co-op mode.
It has more that, and then it seems to be a bit more atmosphere to it, to me at least. Yeah.
So it just seems really interesting, and we don't really. There's more, I guess, a mystery to it too, because instead of saying like, "Oh, this is this person's name, who's gonna take you here," it's like a very specific person is gonna pay you to explore the tundra. Like that's all they told you. Yeah. So it makes it's more mysterious. It feels like there's like something alluring about it.
Yeah, and then it has like it seems like it's gonna have the games and like you know how every Pokemon generation has like Gen 1 was the Mew, Gen 2 was Celebi, Gen 4 was Jirachi, right? No, Gen 4 was Shaman, Gen 5 was... Gen 3 was Jirachi. Yeah.
Victini, is it maybe?
Victini's Gen 5.
Yeah.
Victini's Gen 5. Gen 4 is Shaman.
Yeah.
Gen 3, I believe, is Jirachi. I kind of like misremembered that. But you understand my point, though. Each generation seems to have like this kind of like fairy-ish, smaller legendary Pokemon, but it's still powerful. This what was its name? Like Calyrex. Yeah, it looks like it's that for this generation, which is and so I'm just kind of, because there's not gonna necessarily be like gym battles. I'm kind of hoping that the stories for each of these actual expand areas are going to help to carry you a little bit more, you know, because the story itself wasn't that strong to carry you through the gym battles. It was just kind of like go to the gym battles, and then the story was kind of like mostly at the end of the game. I do hope that the story here, obviously, it kind of needs to take a focal point, sort of, because there isn't like the gym battles. I don't know what structure is going to be in there for these other areas.
And that's kind of exciting because, you know, it's been, you know, beat the HMs, go challenge the champions or whatever, and then you that's how it is. But this one, these expansions, is completely different, so it'd be like a whole new structure for the campaign, which is really cool.
Like they're even adding like different like temples for the different Reggies, and they're added 2 new Reggies. It looks like an electric Reggie and a dragon Reggie.
Yeah, I also would not be surprised
Red
if
Giant
those...
knows.
I also wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if like the little the Reggie temples or ruins are dens you can explore to get them.
Maybe, but because in the Crown Tundra, the dens you can actually explore. That makes sense. There you go. And actually, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but in Sword and Shield, there in the wild area, there's like a little like broken down tower castle. If you explore it, it actually is technically a den because you can click on it, and it's like, hey, this is a den, like, but it's inactive right now, or something along those. I wonder if they're ever going to do something with that. But that's in the main map of Galar, which they have not confirmed that they're doing anything with that yet. Besides what they mentioned in the direct, that after you campaigns in the 2 different expansion pass areas, there will be some sort of additional challenge in the main area for Galar. I wonder if that's like a new like gym leader challenge or like a no, I don't think it's gonna be like a hold or gym leader challenge, but maybe like a final tournament or something like that, like a world competition.
I do want to ask you guys, like, in terms of because now we're actually gonna be able to explore the dens. How deep do you think that'll go? Like, how far do you think Game Freak would take the exploration of these dens? Like, because before we just walked up to them and we battled the Pokemon, right? If we explore these, what is the point of the exploration? Like, why would you want to do a co-op the exploration part? What are we gonna see? What do you think?
It would be a little lame if it's just, hey, I'm in a room. Let's walk straight, turn left, turn right. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
like, that. I think, and they also mentioned that it was co-op.
Right.
So I wonder if they're going to employ some sort of co-op puzzles or some sort of, maybe not like a hard like puzzle, but some sort of puzzly like challenge that you can do with co-op to get to that whatever that legendary is.
Some of them could be like mazes and stuff where you dead
end
into Pokemon
battles
instead of the whatever you're going in there for.
Right, and that's exactly what I was thinking about the other day, because you wouldn't have a cooperative mode where you're exploring somewhere and not have an activity other than walking in and finding like
there's got to be something which makes it more exciting. I think you're gonna have to have the option for it to not be co-op at the same time though, so I'm wondering how they're gonna balance that.
Right.
I don't have any great ideas how they're gonna handle that though.
I feel like puzzles are the safest bet, even if it's not the most complicated of puzzles. I just feel like a puzzle's the safest bet, and maybe part of me was thinking, what if you had battles that there's people in the dungeon, or maybe like you get attacked by a Pokemon or something, and you need a certain amount of trainers to do it. So you have a double battle with you and your friend battling these other Pokemon or something. But I also wonder how would that work in theory with the other trainers that are also there, because we don't how much is it called, 4 players or
4 players, because that's what happens in raid battles. You can go up to 4 players,
right? So if that's the case, like hypothetically, if there's a battle going on, what can they jump in at any time, or is that like like questions like that is what I've been thinking about since they've mentioned it.
Yeah,
so puzzles I think are the safest way, but what else, like, is there any
I wonder if there'll be other Pokemon inside the den,
right?
I'm gonna say no. That's just my guess, right? I mean they could. It's just kind of like whenever we go in a den, it's just one Pokemon at a time, right? So if we were to go into these legendary dens in the Crown Tundra, it'll be a little different. So I'm not sure how it's going to work out exactly. But I do like your idea are the dens, right? So it could just be, maybe they do something like that for all the legendaries where there's just some sort of tomb or sacred celebrating or worshiping that particular Pokemon, right? As a god. And well, some of the Pokemon are gods, right? And they have like people that worship them in their actual mythology. Like you go there and you find it after you get through a couple of challenges. Maybe it's just finding a way deeper into the dungeon, and maybe that's simply it, just trying to find a way deeper into the dungeon.
Maybe
yeah,
and you can have
because there's gonna be a decent amount of them. They showed a fair amount of legendaries, and they each are gonna have their own den. I don't even know if it'll be a unique den. If it was, that'd be amazing. Maybe just some of them.
I feel for the returning legendary, not randomly generated, but like a certain, pool of like layouts that they'll use. But when it comes to like the new ones, like Calyrex, the Regis, I feel like they're probably gonna have specifically built ones just for them.
Yeah, I see that.
But in terms of what you're doing in the actual dens, I just don't. I have a hard time seeing it just be walk in, go, and then just find it and battle it. Because what would be the difference from just on a den and battling, right?
So I just feel cooler.
Like, yes,
just a
but
little.
I want I guess just a tad bit. But I think like even the most basic of puzzles, or maybe even like what Brandon said, where it's like a maze, something like that, where it's like just traversal wise, maybe you make it a little more interesting.
If they're giving us exploration, give us exploration. Actually compel us to these actual dens. That's what I want to see. I want to see the den explored. Like how there's different ways that can be done, and maybe it's slightly different for each one. I mean, Game Freak has kind of played around with the idea before. I mean, actually, I think here, Darcy, is it Darcy? Yeah, I'll read what Darcy's saying here. Darcy's saying, it does upset me, though, regarding legendaries, that we probably won't be getting them through a mini-story process like getting Heatran in Gen 4 or even the Victini even in Gen 5. Rather, it seems it'll be similar to how we got them all in Oris. And if I remember correctly, in Oris, it was basically like a portal. It took you to some sort of like random island or cave, and there was a Pokemon. But you would you might have to like walk up a couple steps, cut a couple trees or something, and then you get there. So it could be that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I want to avoid that. Like not that maybe even for Oris it wasn't really all that exciting, but I just feel like that was a single player thing. Like you could just do that on your own. So that was just like, okay, it's there. That's how you get the legendary. All right, quick, done. But if it's co-op, that implies more than just walk in the room and
I want it to be some sort of
to hook up to the internet and then actually get your friend into the lobby than it does to explore the place you're hooking up to. Maybe that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the concept of there being explorable dens and then an actual raid battle fight at the end, because the raid battles feel like actual boss fights. So you couple that with them being legendary, which makes them even harder. That makes it really cool. So and then the themes. Oh man, the legendary music we're gonna be able to hear. Oh, that better be super epic. Oh man, I'm looking forward to that. When do we get like a remix for like each different legendary, or at least like from the particular games that they're from?
I could see them bring back the music. I don't know how. Like, it depends how far they go with it. Because how many legendaries would be coming back? How much music tracks would they be remixing?
There's a lot. We don't know how many are actually coming back.
Right.
Like, I'm not expecting a unique song for each legendary, but maybe for each particular game, right? So, like, the Gen 4 legendaries, they get their song, Gen 3s get theirs. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I feel like that's more likely, yeah.
So, let me see what Duma was saying here. We'll be exploring for legendaries. I want to explore and see homes of Pokemon and where they are with their family. Oh, here's a theory. All three Galar birds, second type is Ghost. They then all hit each other for super effective. Green works very easy with the 2s and 3s base inspiration, somewhat with the 3rds inspiration. That'd be funny. I mean,
what if they just turned all the birds into dragons?
There, it fixed it. There, we did it. Fix it. That would be. There you go. Yeah. So. Any other, like, there's a lot we could sort of piece through with expansion pass, but there's one more topic sort of have to talk about. So is there anything else you guys want to say about the Sword and Shield expansion pass before we move on to the final topic?
No, I'm good.
No, I look forward to it.
Me too. I think it's been pretty hype. So, final topic, guys. Nintendo Switch Pro. Is it happening? It's happening. It's totally happening. Is it like 100%? No, it's not 100%, but it's pretty good. So we've gotten some reports. Who is it? Digitimes this time is reporting on a Nintendo Switch coming out, a new model coming out mid-2020. And Brandon, I asked you to have it ready for me if you remember, but basically it has a better CPU and like it's made of metal or something, magnesium or something. So not plastic.
Body.
Yeah, so it's gonna have a different, I guess, higher quality form factor. It's gonna have a better CPU. That's all that we've heard of apparently, and it's slated for mid 2020, which pretty much lines up with what I'm sort of expecting. I'm expecting a little bit more than that, but how do you guys feel about this? Do you guys think this is legit happening at this point? Are you still on the fence? What do you guys think?
I definitely. Oh, I'll let you go first because I'm on here all the time. So.
I was just gonna say that with the conversation of Switch Pro happening so many times, I look at it a similar way with Metroid Prime Trilogy, where if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it because it keeps being mentioned. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of, I guess you could say, like, I'm at a point where I'm past it. I'm just like, if it happens, great. I'll purchase it. I'm exactly the demographic who love that sort of thing. You know, I'll get it. I'll support it. I'm gonna get games for it.
But you can live without it.
I guess, because it's just been so long now that it's, been rumored since the console even released. Same with the Metroid Prime Trilogy. It just feels like I'll be hyped for it, but I just let me see the damn thing.
Yeah.
My thing is like I just want to give Nintendo my money. I'm just like, Nintendo, make a machine, make it worth buying. I don't care if it's $400. Like, I have the money. I will buy it. I will pre-order it too. If you put it up, just let me give you my money. Yeah, I definitely think it's happening. This year we got the 2 other next-gen systems coming. It's the 3rd year. It seems like a good enough amount of time between the original release, and it actually be more than 3 years, but like 3.5 years, depending on when 3 years and a few months, depending on when they release it. I think this rumor specifically mentions mid 2020. Yeah, it does, coming mid 2020. So that would probably be, I assume it'd be like September. Same time as the Switch Lite. So you got 3 years and some change there. I think it's a good enough time. And especially if they want to release like high-profile games like Breath of the Wild, I think Breath of the Wild sequel would look great on a Switch Pro. The Switch is great, and I love the concept, and I love the games, but I don't like the Switch for any of its build quality or the actual hardware of the unit. Like, I think the hardware of the unit and the build quality of the Switch is honestly the worst of all of the... Oh, obviously the hardware is the worst, but the build, it's just... I feel like the other consoles, especially like the new versions of them, like the Xbox One X, maybe not like the original Xbox One, kind of shitty, but the Xbox One X, the PS4 Pro, Xbox Series X, the well, we didn't see the PS5, but I assume it'd be awesome. Those are all like really, really high quality like builds, especially like the Xbox Series X reminds me of like kind of like an Apple product in terms of just like how like refined the build quality looks. So I would love something with like a metal version of the Switch. I wasn't expecting that just because I feel like they would put the price into the hardware, but maybe they're expensive. I don't know about anything about magnesium, so I don't know. Maybe that's like a cheaper solution that's still nice. But yeah, I'm just ready to give Nintendo my money for a better quality, and I would love a better build quality because you got the bending issues and all that kind of stuff with the current Switch. So
yeah,
and the kickstand. God, if it was a metal kickstand.
You could stab somebody with it. Yeah. I mean, I definitely want. We all want a Switch Pro here. I've been saying for a while that I think it's likely. I think we're going to see multiple SKUs. I have seen some people in the chat suggest that it might not be that powerful. Maybe, right? It's going to be more powerful, but how much more powerful? What will it be? Some people have been speculating, like I'm going to say some people on the list are speculating that it will have some sort of 4K capabilities. That would be really awesome. I currently don't even own a 4K television. Like I guess I could probably pick one up later in the year, maybe.
I have 3 1080p plus.
1080p plus
displays in my house. I have 2 4Ks and 1 1440p monitor.
Interesting.
Right now.
Interesting. Either way, I do think that it, from some perspective, it does make sense because one, as a Switch Pro, you're not trying to cater to the masses as you normally do with like just the base system. So Nintendo will have the ability to kind of cater to more of the luxury way. Like normally, Nintendo cuts down on certain things. So some people might still have that expectation with this particular SKU, that Nintendo's going to be typical Nintendo and cut down on some features, but they normally do that because they're trying to make a system that is appealing to a more larger audience. If this is legitimately a Switch Pro, this is not being geared towards making it sell to everyone, but a particular, more core audience is more accustomed to spending larger amounts of money for this. So they may go all out. It may have 4K capabilities, right? It may have an Ethernet port. It may be a high-quality build with a decent amount of extra power there. And if that all happens, I'm all for it. I think someone in the chat, I wasn't sure who it was, but they were asking if we think that it'll have exclusives. I'm going to say no. We've touched on it before. Because Brandon, you brought up the other day, right? They tried that with the new 3DS XL, right? And they did 2 games and they stopped because that's not what people wanted. And there's also, look at their competition, PS4 Pro, Xbox One X, they didn't do that, right? So if Nintendo was the only company to do it after it failed beforehand,
just like today
I doubt it.
Or yesterday, the Xbox Series X is confirmed to have no exclusives for at least a year. So everything will work in the original Xbox One and the X. So now you got 3 generations essentially of consoles, all with what would you call that, forward compatibility, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. So Terry just added me saying a Nintendo Switch with 4K would be meaningless because not everyone has a 4K TV. Well, that's the thing though. This Nintendo Switch isn't meant for everyone. It's meant for the people who are willing to spend the extra buck that want the higher graphical fidelity.
And I know meaningless.
I'm not saying...
I feel like a lot of people have 4K TVs.
It may not have 4K capabilities, right? We don't know that yet. But if it did, it wouldn't shock me. So, we'll see.
Yeah. I want to make the argument, like, a couple years ago, yeah, sure, not that many people had 4K TVs, but nowadays you can go pick up a 50-inch 4K TV for like $300. Like, they're not expensive. A lot of
300, I guess.
TV, Netflix, consoles, everything's moving towards 4K, and now there's actual, like, tons of 4K content to buy. Like, even just a few years ago, yeah, you could buy a 4K TV, but what were you gonna actually do? Watch 4K YouTube? Like, I don't know. You could watch those, like, videos where it's like you bought a 4K TV, so you specifically look at everything on YouTube for 4K because there's nothing to watch. Nowadays, you got the Xbox One X, you got the PS4 Pro, you got even Google Stadia has 4K. Like, everything has 4K now, and everybody, if you don't have a 4K TV, it's because you just really don't care. Like, I feel like a lot of people have 4K TVs. I have multiple.
Well, we'll see. Either way, I do think, considering that the next generation systems are coming, I think there is this situation where Nintendo may leverage a new system, along with Breath of the Wild 2, maybe Mario Odyssey, maybe Xenoblade Chronicles, like these higher fidelity, bigger scope games from Nintendo, and really like say, hey, look, we have some really kick-ass looking, epic, more powerful system to really show off their quality. That would be something really awesome, and it may be something, and I kind of can see a Switch Pro being revealed sooner than the Switch Lite this year, because if it is going to have better graphics, that's something they may want to showcase, say, for example, at E3, these games running on the higher fidelity settings. So, Breath of the Wild 2 may look really awesome at E3. Heck, if I'm right about Metroid Prime 4, just teasing us with a little bit of gameplay there would be insane, because, let's be real here. We all sort of expect Metroid Prime 4 to look amazing. I'm really curious what they're going to be able to pull off for Metroid on the Switch. Like, I'm just so curious, because obviously the Switch is not the most powerful system. Just to kind of see what they can sort of do with the system, I'm really curious how much they're going to be able to push it, and just see how it's going to look. Because there were some games that I thought were really impressive considering the hardware, right? Metroid Prime 3 Corruption is one of them. Super Mario Galaxy is another, and so was Xenoblade Chronicles. Those 3 games, I think, really... they just... You gotta take into consideration what the Wii games were looking like back then. Like, a lot of the Wii games basically looked like PS2 games. There's a lot of PS2 cross-platform games there, and these games kind of, I don't want to say they look like 360 games, but like Mario Galaxy and Prime 3 Corruption, in standard definition, they didn't look necessarily like they couldn't be 360 games at the time. talking about early life cycle here. The point is that they pushed that system to its limits with particular games, and I'm really curious what they're going to be able to do with the Switch with games like Breath of the Wild 2 and Prime 4. And seeing that showcased this year a little bit at E3 with a pretty exciting to me, and I do think while it wouldn't be more powerful than the other systems, it would help to keep some of the spotlight on Nintendo.
Yeah. One thing that kind of makes me believe this rumor a little bit more is the fact that they mentioned, or at least from what I've seen, they mentioned the CPU, the graphics card, which, you know, somebody just making up a rumor would likely not mention the CPU at all and just be like, oh, it's graphics, you know? But
I want to clarify one thing, because I see Dumo talking about it. He said Switch Pro will not games at native 4K ever. It might be able to upscale, but that's the PS4 Pro power, and I don't think it can reach that power level. Certainly not 1x power levels. Yeah, no. So just to be clear, when we're talking about 4K, we mean 4K scaling. We do not mean 4K native.
Yeah.
Like no. That is not.
Also, to say you don't need PS4 Pro power to upscale to 4K. Because the games don't... The base graphics of the games aren't the same as those of a PS4 Pro game. Like, there are games on the Switch already able to run at 1080p because the graphics of them are way lower fidelity than a PS4 Pro game. Just because it's the same resolution does not mean that it takes the same amount of blows to it. So if Switch runs an upscaled 4K game, like Smash already runs at 1080p, maybe it would be able to run it at an upscaled 4K. That doesn't mean it's as powerful as a PS4 Pro, or even close. It could be less powerful than a normal PS4 and be able to do that.
Yeah, that's pretty much why you see certain indie games on PS4 running at full 4K.
And we could see that on the Switch Pro, right? Like maybe it could run indie games at 4K, which would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not saying that, you know, Doom Eternal's gonna be 4K upscaled on the Switch Pro, because there's no way in hell it will be.
No.
It might be like 900p 30 if we're lucky. Like,
yeah.
I am very, like, if the Pro is a thing and it releases, I am someone who does own a fair amount of third-party games on my Switch, so I kind of will be interested in
to see how they run.
Get the biggest boost.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see Wolfenstein 2 not be a blurry mess.
I mean, like, I'm not expecting it to be the biggest upgrades ever. Like, I'm not expecting, you know, 4K 60 FPS or some crazy.
No, but a little bit of clarity would be nice.
Yeah, because like depending on the port we're talking about, I feel like some of them are like the bare minimum of what I consider to be okay, right? But if I feel that way about those ports, again, specific games in mind, I'm interested to see what it would be on the Pro, just to see like what does change, like what are the differences.
Right, without an update, automatically just running on the Switch Pro, it would obviously, because it has a dynamic resolution, that dynamic resolution would be pushed higher. Theoretically, if it had enough power, it would hit the ceiling all the time, so 720p. So you get a native 720p instead of like 556, or I don't remember the exact numbers it usually runs at. And then the frame rate will be smoother. But I think the Switch will be powerful. The Switch Pro will be powerful enough that they can have updates, which will make the resolution have a higher ceiling on the Pro. I don't know if it would have a higher frame rate. Something that interests me is they did say it had a better CPU. Question is how much, because the main limiting factor, or one of the main limiting factors for frame rate, typically on consoles, a lot of the times, is actually the CPU, which is why you see like even Xbox One X games running at 30 frames per second. So, and a big one for the Switch is CPU and RAM, which is another reason why I think that this rumor is interesting, because it mentions the CPU. Like, a lot of the frame rate issues in Breath of the Wild, people have looking and stuff and figuring out that is mostly due to RAM limitations. The RAM's just not fast enough to send the data fast enough in order to get the game to be smoothed out.
It'd be cool to have 60 FPS modes added as like DLC for some of the Switch games, like Breath of the Wild.
The question is, like, if it's enough to where we'll get that, because a boost
how cool would
to
it be
CPU
to have
RAM would be nice for games like The Witcher would run a lot smoother. You'd
Right.
probably get some more like draw distance and stuff in those games. I don't know that it's going to be enough to where Breath of the Wild is like, oh, it's 60 FPS now. But Breath of the Wild 2 might have better draw distance. It might run a bit smoother in certain, more
What if
trouble
Breath of the
areas and
Wild
stuff like
2 on the Switch Pro, like on normal Switch it runs at 30, but on Switch Pro it runs at
I'm
60. It
not
would be the first 3
expecting it.
Zelda game that run at 60 frames per second. That would be so
really
sick.
highly doubt it, just because even like the PS4
Stop.
Pro and Xbox One X
Stop being
struggle
logical.
with, like, they don't even really have like open world 60 FPS games. Like that's not a thing.
Yeah,
this
but
generation.
but this is Switch Pro. It's gonna have
Maybe
and-
next gen.
it's gonna have
that means,
Nintendo in it and
Nintendo.
blast processing. It's gonna
Flash-
A
have
little bit of
Flash
Miyamoto
processing,
magic.
There you go.
yeah, the Miyamoto. Don't forget the Miyamoto magic, right? Exactly.
Oh yeah.
So blast processing, Nintendo, Miyamoto magic. Come on, all 3 of those things together gotta amount to something. 60 FPS, right? No. Well, here's the other thing though. Right, so it is an open world, so I understand why 30 FPS is that's something that's very hard to push, especially because highly physics-based Breath of the Wild is, right? So I understand that. But another potential issue, and we're gonna have to end the thing soon because Shifty, I know you want to have a normal sleep schedule, and I have company, so there's that. And Brandon, I also know you're tired from work, and I appreciate you guys coming here. By the way, guys, they are troopers, they are awesome, and they're both cool. So check out their channels; they're linked in the description below. But this is sort of like one last little thing. We've talked about it before, but I'm talking about it again because yes. So Metroid Prime 4, will it be 60 frames per second?
Yes.
You sure?
100%. I don't think they would develop the game without 60 FPS in mind.
Because all previous Metroid Prime games were 60 frames per second.
Yep. That's why I think that they would never do 30. Because I don't think Nintendo's focus would be on like graphical fidelity over frame rate. They're kind of the people who always want like a consistent frame rate over like all else. Most of the time in their exclusives. So I would definitely think that they would never drop down to 30 unless it was just like impossible, unless the game had to look like absolute crap to run it.
Yeah.
They would never target that.
To add on top of that too, not only is Nintendo the type of company to do that, I acknowledge that a shooter of, even if it's not a hardcore FPS, like it's still gonna be first person. A game like that does kind of mostly require that kind of frame rate behind it.
Yeah.
It'd be like coming out with a Smash game and having it be 30 FPS.
Oh god.
Oh man, that would people
Yeah.
would be livid. So, but what if we have a situation where the Switch Pro where that's 60 frames per second and base Switch is not?
I still don't think they would do that.
I agree that they
Knowing-
probably shouldn't if they can, but I hope not. I really hope
Knowing
not.
Nintendo, I don't think they would. And the funny thing is that I'm the kind of guy who could play at 30. Like I've done it before. I don't have too much issue doing it. Obviously 60 is a lot better. I'm just saying that in terms of my personal threshold of what I deem okay, I can do it, But knowing Nintendo and knowing the genre as the way it is, I think Nintendo understands that. Them doing.
The
Okay.
only place I refuse to play games at 30 FPS is on my computer, because I'm like, no, I'm not playing a PC game at 30 frames per second. This is crap.
Yeah, keep in
But-
mind that I'm also the same person who, on the way to work, sometimes will take out a Switch Lite on the train and play Doom. 2016 Doom specifically. So
There you go.
I have like a
That-
pretty good like threshold of what I deem to be like acceptable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I would not play. Doom on the Switch
I
game.
do agree that it would be disappointing to see them not go with 60 frames per second for Metroid Prime 4 with all versions of the game.
Yeah.
Assuming there are multiple versions, we'll see what happens with Switch Pro this year. But I see Control Alt Dan as the final question for the night. You guys, he asked, you guys say anything about the next Direct? We did talk about it like in pieces throughout. I think it could happen next week. I think there's some things that will be shown off. But to play a little bit of a game, let's each make 6 predictions for the Direct as a team. So I'll say one, Shifty you say one, Brandon you say another, and we'll do it like that. And we have to piggyback off each other's predictions. So I'll go first.
Okay.
January 16th will be the Nintendo Direct. So next week, this Thursday.
Who is going next?
Shifty, go for it. You go next.
I don't have a specific date in mind. I feel like
So the game, you
Probably-
gotta just put another prediction in there. You can agree. Yeah, you can tell me if you agree or not. But
I feel okay. The absolute latest has to be February, like the first week.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Smash, like the DLC fighter thing, like they could easily just be like, "Yo, it comes out next week." Bam. You know, like they could do
maybe.
that.
Yeah, maybe they could do that.
So I don't know. I feel like it won't be any later than that.
I'm thinking like 70% chance that it'll be next week, 20% chance that it'll be the week after that, and like a 10% chance it'll be the first week of February or less.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if it's not next week, but we'll see what happens.
I'm confident it'll be in January, but just because of
Nintendo's good at
certain-
making us think it's gonna happen, and then it doesn't happen until later.
right,
Yeah.
which is why I feel
Yeah.
more comfortable picking a time frame than a
Got you.
specific day.
Yeah.
But
For your prediction to just add on top of mine, whatever it be, you don't have to agree with my prediction. Just what would you predict for the direct?
like what?
Like games or
Okay.
or font color. Hey.
I'm expecting. Well, Smash, right? Fighter 5.
I don't know
In some
about that. I'm not sure, man.
I just feel like that's so obvious. You know?
It definitely is. Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
a
for
cop-out
sure.
answer, how dare you.
that's fine. It's a good. It's a good. So right now we're January direct prediction. We predict this in January. I'm going with 16th, but I agree with the Smash prediction. Yeah,
Yeah.
one or two
and
characters or 7.
We're gonna what? I don't know, but I feel like we're gonna see a brand new game in some capacity, like a game that we just don't know about that it's gonna be. Because I feel like every year I try to budget accordingly for Nintendo,
Yeah,
and then some direct happens and they announce a game that I was like, oh, that's a thing now. Okay, now I have to.
know. I better take up another couple more shifts at work or something. Cause
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like we're probably gonna see like a game or two that's just we didn't know was a thing, and it's just suddenly.
What normally happens, I see a lot of games that are really exciting, and I'm like, oh, I want all of these games. But the reality is, I oftentimes don't have enough time to play all those games or the money to buy all of them. So some of the games that look really cool, by the time they come out, I'm like, oh, it's not as cool as I thought it was gonna come out to be. So they kind of fail to make the cut. That happens a lot. IAmShifty Chain made the cut though, because that game is
That
pretty
game is
awesome.
so
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Oh, saw somebody call it overrated on Twitter, and I was like, boy.
Lies. So, Brandon, question
Okay,
for you.
okay.
And then we'll each do one more round of predictions, and then we'll call it a night.
You know what? I'm gonna go for something less obvious, less of a cop-out answer. I'm gonna say definitely a new third-party game. 100%. We're gonna get a new third-party game.
That's a
But
cop-out
I
answer.
think no, because I'm going to specify which one I
Okay,
think it is.
Okay.
I think it will be Dark Souls 2. I think that's what it will be. It's been a while since we've had Dark Souls 1. I think Dark Souls 2
What?
could get it now.
I was gonna predict Hex.
Another one I could think of would be Witcher 2.
Hmm.
Because I definitely think the other Witcher games will come. I just don't know if it will be announced now. Because
I'm gonna say no.
Witcher 3 just came out a few months
But
ago.
hey, if Dark Souls 2's happen, I mean, either one's cool. So,
think-
I'd
think that's
like to play Witcher 3 on not the Switch because it just looks really
I'll-
blurry to me.
Play it on my PC or maybe my Xbox Series X when I buy it.
Although I do like having things in my hands. Like I like playing things portably very often. So maybe we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so you think maybe Dark Souls 2. Okay, that's pretty good. So my next prediction, cop-out one, Pikmin 3. We'll see that at the direct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
On my end, I'm gonna say I agree with the third party thing, but I think they're probably just gonna remind us of certain third party games coming,
Like
certain
Doom.
specific ones, like maybe Doom Eternal or maybe The Outer Worlds.
Maybe Megami Tensei 5.
I don't know if they want to show off.
Shin Megami Tensei 5 would be a huge
Doom
one.
Eternal again. I think the next time you see Doom Eternal might be when we actually see Switch gameplay of the game, which I think won't be for
Maybe,
because
yeah.
we don't know when that's actually coming out.
What about The Outer Worlds?
That
Outer
makes
Worlds,
sense.
That makes sense. I'm curious about how that. I'm playing that on PC right now. It's absolutely fantastic. When it comes on the Switch, assuming it's a decent version, which it probably will be, definitely pick it up because it's amazing. But yeah, they could show that. I could see that.
Yeah. Weird and random Nintendo thing just appears in the game. Like, oh, here's a third-party game with some kind of Nintendo costume in it, or like a, little throwaway thing just to entice people to buy that version.
Yeah. Okay. Any...
Well, I gotta give my last one.
I'm gonna do another round because I just not things that haven't been said yet that I want to be said.
I'll leave the one that I was like, why did you not say this one?
Well, I'm gonna say something else, so you might as well say it.
Metroid Prime Trilogy HD.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, we were on the same page, so I'm glad you said it because I was gonna say something else. Okay. Do you actually think that, or are you just saying that for my sake?
Yes.
Okay.
I do think that.
You think Prime Trilogy will finally
be
shown off in January?
If it's not shown off, I'm like.
But how?
But Nani?
What do you think? You think now is finally the time? Are you perhaps suggesting that with a little Metroid thing you got down there? You think I hadn't noticed that?
I've been playing with a morph ball, squish ball.
I thought that was
morph ball.
I thought that was an orange.
I knew it was a ball, but I didn't notice it was a morph ball.
Oh man, you got the Metro. What is it with all the Metroid stuff now?
no particular.
Sure.
Yeah, bro. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you got? What are you wearing for a sweatshirt? It looks might be. Is that Sans? Is that the Punisher? There's some sort of skull thing. It looks pretty cool.
It is Punisher. I'll give you that. It is Punisher.
Okay.
It's the void of space.
It's Punisher. But I don't know. It's like the Switch Pro situation again. Like, cool. Let me see it.
Yeah.
It's been talked about for so long.
Yeah.
Wait. What if we finally? Okay, this would be my last question then.
Sure.
The story DLC for Fire Emblem.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, reveal on that would be pretty cool. When's the deadline for that?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right. So, good enough.
I just figured like that game came out like August or something.
Maybe.
I don't remember exactly.
It came out July, I think.
July,
yeah. Like the 21st or something.
So it was like a late summer game, but yeah. So it makes sense because how much longer we're gonna have to wait for that? It could conceivably be they could wait until like a springtime to show it off, I guess, and then it comes out spring. But yeah, maybe you could. I could see that.
Just something that's not entirely a freebie of sorts.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking would be Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition.
Oh, maybe have a section just talking about the new content.
Yeah, something like that, or at least a reminder that the game's coming out. Like, give us a release date at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us a release date, please.
Yeah.
Definitely see that.
I expect one like mind-blowing thing that could be Prime Trilogy at the end. Like Prime Trilogy.
That could also...
Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say that could also be what I mentioned earlier about a brand new game that we just don't know about.
True.
Remember, Astral Chain was just randomly a thing on One Direct.
Maybe we get Man Icarus.
Oh God, Man Icarus.
Do you enjoy doing this to people?
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, I
he
do.
does.
It's kind of my thing. I'm just really awkward outside. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So Man Icarus, maybe. Yeah. Something though. Seriously, I do think they're gonna end the show off with something big. Either Prime Trilogy. I could see them maybe doing Bayonetta 3 at the end. I feel like now, while I would like to see Bayonetta 3, I think if they showed it off at the end, people would be like, oh, that was a bad direct. I know for a fact that people would be disappointed with Bayonetta 3 being like the final thing they'll show off. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone, but you know what? Like, there's gonna be that vocal group that'll be like, they could have. I wish they showed something else off, like Zelda.
Did end off with Astral Chain and one of the other directs.
They ended with Xenoblade, and people were pissed. Yeah, so that's a Terminator direct. They ended
the
up.
one where Astral Chain was announced? Wasn't that? Didn't it?
That was not. It might have been.
I think it was, because we were like, it was like the last thing, and we were like, this has got to be Metroid Prime Trilogy, and it wasn't.
I don't remember. I remember when we saw Astral Chain for the first time. I don't remember if that was the last thing. I'll have to double check that. But I can tell you for a fact.
That the last thing or the last
right
thing before the last thing?
I think it wasn't the last thing, but I'll have to double check that. But for a fact, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition was a Nintendo Direct last year, a few months ago, and a lot of people were disappointed about that. I wasn't. I thought that was super hyped, right? But
oh yeah. I heard I saw a black screen and saw just heard one piano note and I was already yelling.
It was amazing.
I already knew what it was.
It was so cool. So I appreciated that, and I could see if it was Bayonetta 3, it could be something similar like that. Although maybe they'll still reveal Bayonetta 3, show off gameplay for Bayonetta 3. Or there might be an E3 thing. Hard to say, really. But something big will be at the end. Bayonetta 3, Prime Trilogy, maybe Zelda 2020 confirmation. Those are all possibilities. Not all of them, but one or two of those maybe throughout the Direct, but one of them at the end. Because I think the Smash character is going to be revealed at the beginning of the Direct. They seem to like doing the beginning. So that's what I see something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could also see some kind of Nintendo IP getting some kind of random game. Let's say a new Kirby game.
Or
oh god, Kirby game.
Man, Icarus. Or Waver.
Maybe.
Or it could be like a Mario spin-off game, because you get at least one or you get two Mario somethings in a year.
You want to know what would be the ultimate like Andres catered Direct, just for me, right? So it would be start off with a Smash character, then show off Geno, right? Then they're like, oh, okay, so here's Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. It's coming out in May. Oh, now here's Metroid Prime Trilogy. Okay. Oh, we're also working on another Super Mario game, just so you know. But they won't show any gameplay though. And then they'll show Metroid Prime. Yeah, they'll show Metroid Prime Trilogy. And then at the end, they'll have one more reveal, and it'll be F-Zero GX. No, not F-Zero GX, just F-Zero. It'll be a new F-Zero, and I'll jump out the window, run up the stairs, come back.
I just want to point out that what had me make a reaction was that you said this is the perfect idea of what an Andres Direct would be, and you still don't want to see Mario. That you still don't expect to see Mario.
I just think
or Zelda.
This is the perfect scenario for you. You want to see Mario, right?
I missed the 2020 confirmation for Zelda. I forgot about that. That should be in there. No, I just want to know that Super Mario Odyssey 2 is coming. I was trying to be somewhat realistic, but still not be. Yeah. Yeah. No. It's got to be Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Xenoblade, F-Zero, and Smash. That all has to be in one Direct. That all has to be there together. If that happens all together, I just die of happiness. Yeah. I won't even get to play it, I'll just die. All of that will be dead. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I vibe with most of that. Add in maybe a new Golden Sun for some reason, and yeah.
What? Oh, dude. And Mother 3 3D HD. Something. Open world. MMO.
Yeah. Not an MMO.
Okay, maybe not an MMO. Yeah. Control Alt Dan is asking, what about the two rumored Wii U ports? Pikmin 3 is one of them. For sure is these. And then the other one, I'm personally guessing, is Wonderful 101. They're both rumored, so when I say for sure for Pikmin 3, it's not actually for sure but I feel pretty good about
all the Wonderful 101 fans being salty that we're thinking it's Wonderful 101 when they said it's a 6 out of 10 game.
That was someone's opinion on it, So we'll see. But
6 out of 10 game must be Wonderful 101.
I'm low key hoping that guy who said 6 out of 10 just hates a really good game. Just so I can get something better.
Please just hate Xenoblade Chronicles X and hate it with...
There's no way Xenoblade Chronicles X, though, because Definitive Edition is coming out.
New content.
It'd be so weird.
And hate it with fixed story, so I don't have to freaking level
it's gotta be
person I've never even played as before to a really high level just so I can play that except with the game.
What if it's Twilight Princess HD?
I'll take it.
Hey, Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD bundle.
Which I don't know how you call that a 6 out of 10, but like maybe he just didn't like.
I mean, for our sake, let's just hope he hates some quality content.
Yeah, there you go. Could be the case. But that's pretty much it for the discussion, guys. Any final things you guys want to say before we call it a night?
I think if the Switch Pro actually has like a magnesium or like a metal body, that'd be like really cool. I was never expecting that.
You could throw it at
honestly, people. The build quality was not something I thought that they would upgrade. Honestly,
actually, I think that makes sense because if we're gonna get a luxury item, I expect a luxury feel. Yeah, it makes sense. Which could mean they might go a little bit light on extra features. Like it might just be a little bit more powerful, feels nicer, better battery life, slightly larger screen.
Okay, as long as it
has an Ethernet port.
Yeah, Ethernet port. Honestly, even if it's not 4K, if they have some kind of like good anti-aliasing solution, that's fine. The problem is Nintendo never does anti-aliasing because they seem to hate it, except they did on Luigi's Mansion 3, which I was actually hyped about. But as long as that looks better, like cleaner.
Yeah, I don't need 4K. I just want the games. I do want it to make games look better. So
I could honestly go on a tangent about anti-aliasing for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah.
Shifty, anything from you?
6 out of 10 game Fatal Frame.
Oh, dude, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Okay, I like that. All right, that's a good that's a good one to end off on, guys.
Maiden of Black Water, was it, or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you could like play it for free at first and then buy the rest.
And they already had Nintendo costumes in it, so you just add a few more.
I'm down to give that a try. That'd be pretty cool. All right, I think that's a good prediction.
Curious how that would ever work without the gamepad, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe we'll find out next week. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching on Saturday. We will normally be doing this on Sundays, don't worry. I didn't want to skip the week, which is why we're doing it today. But anyways, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye, guys.
See ya.